Hey guys, welcome to another Bitcoin news show. For this week, we're going to be having a few people again. We got Jose here joining us again. We got for the first time here on the show. We got Gabriel joining us. He's actually from the World Crypto chat room. So, how you doing, Gabriel?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad to have you guys on here because it really is hard to find people around the holidays to come on the show and still talk Bitcoin because Bitcoin never stops. Bitcoin's still going 24/7. Even during the holidays when we're all eating turkey and all that good stuff. So really awesome to still be here and be talking Bitcoin. So we're gonna get right into it. Gabriel, actually, I probably should have sent you the links, but you can find the links there at the top of the chat room. It's a paste bin link.
Yep.
And so I always try to go ahead and put the Pastebin link at the top of the chat for every show so everybody can have the links while we can follow along with the show. So let's go ahead and let's see, start with the first link. Paste that in here. This will be the oops, that's the title of the link. That's not the actual link. So let's try to paste it.
It's the
okay, so yeah, yes. So the first link I want to talk about with you guys tonight is the Bitcoin nodes that were just recently added by BTCC, and that's of course the Bitcoin exchange over there in China, run by I think Bobby Lee. Yep, the big guy, who is of course the brother of the creator of Litecoin. So that's super fun. So first, I just want to say a quick piece. It's very important, I think, for the Bitcoin network to have nodes all over the world. The Bitcoin nodes are what helps secure the network. It's what helps keep centralized. It's what helps to keep it secure. So, and recently in recent times, the nodes have been dropping, and they've been dropping at a fairly steady rate. And so now we actually don't have that whole lot compared to a couple of years back. So it's kind of funny. We have much more people, the price is much higher, but we have far less Bitcoin nodes. So I'm hoping that efforts through Chris Ellis and his full node project. I'm hoping that efforts like that will help increase the nodes across the world. But Jose, what do you think about the BTCC stepping in here and adding these nodes across the world?
Well, it's in their best interest to do so. They want to ensure that the performance of the blockchain is top notch from everywhere and anywhere around the world. And it's also possibly a bit of a publicity event. It's, props to them, for doing that. Because obviously their nodes, I'm assuming, are going to be like data centers at each of those locations. It's not just going to be, Joe Schmo running on his regular computer or something. This is going to be significant, sectors in all these different continents. So, it's great. It's good for them. And hopefully other companies will take note and do the same. Of course, we would like as many people, regular consumer types to kind of do the same thing by using Bitcoin locally in their specific locations. But, if we have to take a big leap forward and allow bigger companies to do so, if you have the resources to do so, then, the more the better. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that all the big companies like BTCC and Coinbase and Circle and various exchanges and things, they don't actually do like very many things to help the Bitcoin network. Like they don't have nodes, they don't mine and things like that. So this is really interesting. I think this is a kind of a beginning step in the next phase of Bitcoin, really, which is where the big guys start stepping in and really start bringing in the network to make it more secure, more stable, and more decentralized. So, Gabriel, tell me, what do you think of this story?
I think it's a good sign that the players in the space, the corporate players in the space, the for-profit players in the space are understanding the gaps in the protocol, really. Compared to altcoins, Bitcoin has no incentivization for full node running, which are the people who, ping the transactions back and forth. And it's It's an extremely important part of the Bitcoin network, and other altcoins have tried to incentivize it. For example, I believe Dash has node reward. So there's master nodes, and they set aside a proportion of the mining reward to reward miners for giving up their disk space and bandwidth in order to relay Bitcoin transactions. Unfortunately, Bitcoin does not have such an incentivization scheme, so it relies on the good faith of the users in the Bitcoin space to run Bitcoin nodes. Like myself, I happen to run a Bitcoin node, but sometimes it goes down. If I were making a profit, maybe I would put a little more time into it. Since I'm an enthusiast, I have one already, but it's definitely a major problem that we have so few. Actually, 5,000 to 6,000 is really very, very alarmingly few nodes for the $7 billion network. So I think it's a great sign that the corporate players are getting into the space. I'm hoping, like Jose mentioned, that other corporate players are sort of shamed by this and also invest a small amount. I mean, it's way less than an employee to throw up 100 nodes, I would think. So I'm hoping that these other players throw a few hundred more nodes or a few thousand more nodes into the space until we come up with a possible incentivization scheme for Bitcoin. I don't even know how high that is in the developers' priority list to do that, but if it starts to become an issue that it's too centralized, it's too limited, the number of nodes, then it's conceivable we could see some movement in the direction of direct incentivization, in other words, with Bitcoin rewards. But until then, this is a good sign. I think that it's actually about a year and a half after I expected it to happen. So better late than never.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. And I really think that I really agree with you guys. I think that this is a sign of the bigger companies and stuff really starting to throw their weight around and help the ecosystem itself. Because, unlike a centralized company like Facebook or something like that, where, it's just up to them to keep their servers up and keep their network going. Bitcoin, we're all in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is all of us. And so it really is up to all of us, including the big players, no matter how small you are, whether you're just a regular guy like yourself running a node, or whether you're BTCC putting out 100 to 1,000 nodes. It's prudent for all of us. It behooves all of us to continue to support the network, because we're all in it together. And that's one of the beautiful things that makes Bitcoin is its decentralization and its power that it gives back to the people. So that's definitely awesome. I agree with you guys.
For example, this is kind of along the same lines, but a different perspective, a different technology. You get one huge company, like, for example, Facebook is right now trying to bring, internet to the world, and they're launching, hot air balloons, essentially, or maybe like helium or hydrogen or something like that, to basically, in these remote areas, to bring internet to like third world countries and villages throughout the world. And, that's a multi-billion-dollar project right there. But big companies like that have a huge advantage because they have capital. They can just, overnight extend the node throughout the world much faster than, trying to get a movement going, which, essentially the whole Bitcoin itself is a movement, per se. So if it hasn't happened yet, like Jeff was saying, a couple of years ago, there were a lot more nodes out there, but it has been a decline. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, the price drop, of Bitcoin, and people just feel burnt, and just kind of the hype kind of left a little bit. But kind of like the price, the amount of nodes out there kind of, somewhat stabilizing. But these companies basically see it that if we really want this to take off again and want us, this is a chance to make it big, we need to start investing in the platform, back into the community, back into the network, because it's only going to benefit us, essentially.
That's right. Absolutely true. Well said. Before we move on to the next topic, Ahmed had a question. He said, what was the last real product or service that any of you spent on Bitcoin? And basically, for me, I think that would be I bought a printer on Overstock. Was my very last purchase with Bitcoin. How about you guys, Jose? What was your last purchase?
I'm kind of guilty. I haven't really done too much purchasing. I've just been collecting Bitcoin.
Just been hoarding it.
I've been hoarding it. I've been buying it on Coinbase every week, pretty much. Haven't really sold it or anything like that yet. So, I've done like small transactions, I think, with you, Jeff, before a few times.
Yep.
And I think you still owe me. Well,
no.
A couple of gambles you've made that I think I'm going to win. He'll owe me 2 Bitcoins in the future. But anyway.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, me and Jose have definitely done a couple personal transactions and stuff, and of course, it's great with Bitcoin, just instant, just beautiful. Gabriel, anything that you purchased recently with Bitcoin?
Not recently, but the last service I used was Purse. I think it's the top use case for Bitcoin as a currency. I'm mostly a hodler as well, as they say. But the thing is, unless you're talking about leveraging Bitcoin's place as a digital currency in the way that a Purse or a Fold will do, where they're leveraging corporate marketing budgets in the form of pseudocurrency like airline miles, Amazon credits. They're leveraging the fact that those pseudocurrencies are worth less on the open market than they are inside their ecosystem. They're leveraging that difference in order to give savings to Bitcoin holders. That is just awesome. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for every American who has access to like a bank account to just get a Coinbase account and always just buy Bitcoin unless you're in a hurry, because it adds time. So if you can afford to pay with time, then it makes perfect sense to always just save 15% on Amazon. I mean, it's insane that the type of savings that's just gouging the normal costs. So I think that's like one of the few use cases for Bitcoin as a straight currency today. I think it's got really excellent uses outside of a straight currency, but for like international or labor or for purchases that are leveraging pseudocurrencies, I think those are some of the areas where it's actually useful today as a currency.
Actually,
very interesting.
I halfway through that, I remember that I actually started a service. It was a esport betting site. It's actually not up anymore, but a year ago it was, and we basically were using Bitcoin for sport bets with esports, League of Legends, that kind of thing, Dota. So
yeah, gambling is totally a legitimate use case for Bitcoin, where it's better than fiat options.
Yeah, it's it's absolutely interesting how Amazon is just leaving this money on the table. Like they have just billions of dollars of gift cards, and they're literally only servicing the few countries that support credit cards. Meanwhile, Overstock is supporting 170 plus countries. Just all the money that Amazon is leaving on the table, billions of dollars, Overstock is just collecting because they're using Bitcoin. It's a beautiful thing because people can just transfer Bitcoin and get the product because, all the places that credit cards don't support, FedEx and UPS and these types of services, they still go to. So it's absolutely wonderful for people to be able to use Purse to buy stuff from Amazon all across the world who don't even live in the US. And what's really crazy is that Amazon is already cheap. I mean, that shit is cheap. I mean, I can't find any cheaper prices like in anywhere else, maybe Walmart, but Amazon is the cheapest already. And then you add the 15%, actually 18% average savings on Purse.io on that, and you're just left with this huge discount, and it's all thanks to Bitcoin. And so it's a beautiful thing. I agree. I think Purse.io is an absolutely great used for the Bitcoin as a currency right now. Now, what I'm really excited for to use Bitcoin as a currency is for the Open Bazaar project. When that hopefully launches, really fully in 2016, when it gets out of beta, and when give it a few months, for the hype to build up and stuff. Once there's a bunch of places on there, I really think that by the end of the 2016, there'll be thousands of stores, thousands of shops on Open Bazaar, and that'll be just the beginning. So I'm really interested to see what that comes along. But yeah, I guess that's really the main use case scenario is Purse.io right now for Bitcoin as a currency. Very interesting.
I'll have an Open Bazaar shop for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Why not? There's no fees. You can sell directly to anybody on the planet. I mean, if you can make anything, if you can use your creativity, your imagination to do anything, whether that's design, music, writing, whatever, you might be able to sell it on Open Bazaar, which is a huge case. I mean, it's going to bridge the gap. Right now, I already know of a bunch of farmers in South America who are actually there's one guy spearheading it, and he got all of these farmers together in South America, a bunch of them, to sell organic food for Bitcoin over the internet. And this is super cheap prices. I'm talking about it's priced in pesos. So just to give you a little idea, so for $20, like US dollars, I mean, you can fill up a whole huge grocery cart of vegetables from these guys, and it'll be fresh, and it'll be right to your door, quick shipping, and so it's absolutely amazing what Open Bazaar, I think, and Bitcoin is going to do to open up the marketplace to the world, to really finally, for the first time, have anybody be able to sell to anybody else. And that's what Bitcoin is about, is breaking down borders. So that's absolutely great. Let's see here. Silk Road. Amin mentioned Silk Road. Rest in peace. But I tell you, Amin, there's I think there's always going to be an underground marketplace for that type of stuff. Silk Road technically is still going, the second or third version of it anyway. And and Silk Road has a couple of competitors. So I really think that that Silk Road is a perfect example of why the law, why the war on drugs is absolutely ridiculous and can never be won, and can never even attempt to be won, really. Because with Silk Road, it's right there in your face, right there. Governments shouldn't have the right to be able to stop you from messing with your mind, from doing stuff to your own body. From if you want to drink a ton of orange juice, okay. If you want to have smoke some medical marijuana to alleviate your back pain, or maybe from you're taking cancer and you're taking chemo and you want to be able to eat again. I mean, there's so many scenarios, of what could happen. And of course, there's even scenarios of people who needing medication who are in the United States, supposed to be the greatest country in the world, that they're trying to get medication from that only exist in other countries that are outlawed in the U.S. because there's not enough profit to be made or something like that. And they can't get their medicine without Bitcoin. So, and marketplaces like Silk Road and eventually Open Bazaar. So it's going to be really huge. I think it's just going to benefit mankind like people can't even predict, right now. So we'll see how
amazing.
It goes.
That's totally amazing. I just makes me think about an article I read today about a new crowdfund for a device that can detect molecules. It's like a pocket spectrum analyzer. And it's like under $1,000 or so. It's like several $100s. So, there's all these protective schemes that the government, it's like, oh, well, we can't allow our pharmaceuticals to be sold on these darknets because you never know what you're getting. Well, there's reagent kits and there's these detectors coming down the pike. You're not going to need to depend on the third-party source. You're going to have your device that you can scan it. When you get it, you buy one or whatever to test it. And then, then you've got your heart medication. You don't need to, it's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, stuff like that. And, even personal DNA testers, personal DNA machines, once that becomes really huge and prolific, that's going to be interesting. Because then you could just, you click your thing, you take your blood, pop on your iPhone connector, and, bam, know exactly what you're allergic to, know exactly what kind of medications you need, and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be really interesting.
Wow.
Personalized medicine.
Yeah, personalized medicine. That's going to be a huge part of the future too. So this could be interesting. Joshua just joined us. How you doing, Joshua? Feel free. We're about to start the next topic, so everybody feel free to tweet out.
Gabriel was just blown away.
Gabriel, he just dropped off. Well, Gabriel, whenever you want to join back in, go ahead and join back in. He probably just lost connection or something. But
yeah, he was lagging a little bit.
Yeah, he was lagging a little bit.
He has a better camera than both of us. Our cameras suck.
Yeah, his internet might have. Oh, see, he's already back. So go ahead and everybody tweet out the show. We still got a bunch more topics to go.
Speechless, Gabriel. Speechless.
I can't believe they're using Flash for this. Who uses Flash? It crashed.
Oh,
that's crazy. It's amazing. I thought they were using HTML5. I mean, Flash is terrible.
Should be. Thanks for the high five, guys. Oh, thanks, Jose.
Jose. High five.
I didn't realize by clicking on you guys, you get high fives.
Oh yeah, you just click on the. All you have to do is actually click on the window. You don't even have to click on the high five. I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I was just clicking on the window, and he disappeared.
And we lost him again. No, it's probably Flash and things like that. Maybe Gabriel will have to try another browser or something. I don't know.
I don't know. This is definitely the best. Chrome's definitely the best for me for Blab. So, oh my God, thanks, man. Oh yeah.
Dude, all right, my little faces kind of look like your donuts.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's funny.
This is fantastic.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. So we're about to start the next topic. Everybody in here, go ahead and tweet out what we got going on here. We got 10 people in here now, including the hosts here and myself. So we're about to start the next topic. We're talking Bitcoin here during the holidays, the holiday week. We got New Year's coming up soon, so I hope everybody had a great Christmas. Spent time with the family, opened a bunch of gifts, and all that good stuff. Let's see, let's paste in the next topic here. And that is why 2015 was the year for payments. And now this particular article actually is part of the Visa group. So Visa actually pushed out this article. And they have a pretty a great quote in there. I don't remember what it was verbatim, but it was you can no longer 2015 shows us that you can no longer ignore Bitcoin or the blockchain. It is here to stay. It is as real as it's ever going to be. And so that's really great to hear from a large provider like Visa, because Visa and MasterCard are both actually have crypto projects, and Horace just joined us. How you doing, Horace? Horace he's always in here, so that's cool to see Horace back. Good evening, Horace. So and if anybody wants to join in too, we got one more seat. So I'd be happy to take anybody else to come in here and join. That's part of the fun of Blab, is that you never know who might want to join in, so everybody's welcome. But this article is really interesting because this is being published by Visa, when just a couple of years ago, Visa and Visa specifically and a couple other companies were talking about how Bitcoin is never going to make it. Bitcoin can never reach Visa levels, and Bitcoin it's just completely irrelevant. Why would we pay attention to Bitcoin? And then now, just 2 years later, they got millions of dollars invested. They're putting out articles like this, and so we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna try to get Horace in here, see if he can talk. Horace, how you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Greetings.
Good to have you back in here, man.
We have a crazy weather here tonight. I'm up in Toronto, and we got about 3 inches of snow in an hour. But that was a thunderstorm in the blizzard. It's like lightning strikes in the blizzard. I've never seen it before like that.
Ooh, that's trippy. I'm from Minnesota, and I've never seen that.
Yeah. Never seen it before.
Lightning?
Yeah,
I'm from LA. We don't have these things. Light? Something to do with light? Okay, whatever.
That's great. LA, man. Oh, that's a beautiful city. Beautiful weather.
It's a little cool right now. Definitely.
Yeah, we got a cold snap hanging over the West Coast right now, which has been kind of annoying.
No, it's great. Where are you? Where are you, Jose?
Florida?
Oh yeah, always.
Orlando.
Oh.
Yeah. We got a multinational show going on here. Lamont just joined us. How you doing, Lamont? We got 4 people in here, so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty glad. Again, just want to thank all you guys for joining us during the holidays. I know it's tough to find some time, so definitely great to have you guys here. And of course, your expertise and knowledge is amazing as always. So great to have you guys on here. We're about to talk on this next topic here. Why Visa why 2015 was the year for payments. So Jose, first, tell me, what do you think about this article coming from Visa? And what do you think about what they have to say?
I'm a little skeptical the intent behind the article. I mean, Visa is like the number one payment network in the world, and I think it's it's good in the sense that they are giving hella props to Bitcoin, and But I think they're also taking, they know what's coming down the line, and they're trying to get on everybody's good side, essentially with this article. They're going to use it later on and be like, we always supported Bitcoin and blah, 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 blah. And we were like one of the first people to mention it publicly. And you know what? We support it now. So it's going to be like that, basically. But it's good. I mean, it's good.
It looks like Visa is sort of talking about it, but not really biting too hard. In the article, they're like, "Oh, it's going to have challenges, and you have to address the lack of trust." So they're trying to inadvertently say, "Yes, you can trust us as Visa, but you can't trust Bitcoin." And it's and also using it for more real world scenarios, such as sending money overseas. That's all Bitcoin's ever done is send money overseas. That's it's nothing new. So I think Visa's kind of downplaying it a bit. And that's what it is, right? Bitcoin can totally stomp Visa and things like microtransactions. And that's huge. If you wanted to pay 2 to 5 cents for an article online, you couldn't do that with a Visa. And I think that's where Bitcoin's really going to shine because it doesn't have those fees associated with it. So we see the emergence of things like ChangeTip and stuff like that.
Interesting, yeah. Very interesting. Gabriel, what do you think about this?
I actually hadn't had a chance to read it, and I've been skimming it here. Very interesting to see them sort of prevaricating, as you guys pointed out. This last paragraph with some weird spacing issues does talk about Bitcoin specifically, which is really cool. I mean, a lot of these, old finance companies are really very careful never to even say the blockchain. They'll say blockchain, because they want to make it clear they're not talking about the blockchain, the one that we all love over here. They want to talk about the one that's over there. They want to have online without internet. They want to have, their permissioned silo, and pretend that is something so revolutionary that it's going to completely change the whole financial system. I am not really sold on that perspective, first of all. Second of all, it's very interesting to see how Visa is like trying to straddle both sides. They're trying to do both, which is, I think, great. I mean, permissioned ledgers are a good technology to use if you happen to need exactly that. But it's not revolutionary. And I think that they are not in denial of that, which is an incredible step. I mean, when I got into Bitcoin I guess it's 2.5 years ago now. And, back then, if anybody from a major financial company had said anything at all about Bitcoin ever, it would have been huge news. And this is just another one of these guys saying something about Bitcoin again. And I think it's important to realize what the position that these companies are in. Now, Horace's comment about the microtransactions, I think that will happen, but we're not there yet. And that's why Visa hasn't been disintermediated. But they're in a precarious position, and they know it. They're trying to prevent themselves from being utterly destroyed by a decentralized network. It's a lot like telecom, MCI or whatever, these 80s companies in the early 90s, like, hey, this internet is going to be huge and we're so for it. It's just going to be fantastic. And that's why you should join our permissioned intranet. And it just all depends on the individuals in those companies and, of course, the management as well. It depends on whether they can transition into the new financial paradigm and hold on to their profit models. So basically, there's going to be, just like Coinbase, we were talking about earlier, perfect example of a company that is on the bridge between old and new finance, and they're drawing a profit out from that bridge. So what we're going to see is this transition over the next few years, 10 years, 15 years, of old finance companies attempting to find a new profit model in the new paradigm. Almost all of them will fail, and then a few of them will come through. That's the prediction. So Visa may or may not be that company that can, for example, run a gaggle of Lightning Network nodes. or hubs, excuse me. Some of these companies are going to do whatever they can to try to provide services that can give them profit. And basically, the profit space in finance is about to drop by 99%, maybe more.
At least 90.
Yeah, so it's interesting because so many new areas of business will also be created, and those are new profit models that are part of the new paradigm. The old paradigm will almost completely, totally collapse. So almost all of these companies will go out of business or reduce in size by over 95%. I have a feeling Visa is going to be still providing credit, but the credit space is going to be changed a lot too. It's going to, the whole credit paradigm is going to be completely different. But they'll still have a function, I think. I have a feeling they're so big that they might just be able to squeeze by with some of the old products that they serve, but the company will be 3% of current size or something.
That's agree. And to Horace's point, as he was saying, how they were like, one way they were kind of, giving props to Bitcoin, but at the same time, they were pointing out the flaws. And that's a perfect strategy to introduce your own blockchain product, essentially, saying, well, this technology is great. Bitcoin is not the best implementation. Check out Visa's blockchain or whatever, and trying to throw out their own proprietary blend, if you will.
I think where a company like Visa could really, really thrive in that space is a thing like with multi-sig wallets, the third-party view-only and hold address. So now merchants don't have to wait on transaction times and stuff like that. And you need an already established company with that infrastructure to do that. And I think we might see them sort of breach into that space there.
Sure. Escrow and things like that. There's going to be a number of new products that they might be able to be nimble enough to jump into. I have a feeling that most of the old finance companies will fail because of the, just natural advantages of newcomers when it comes to new markets like this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody saw that product demo that Visa put out about buying insurance and stuff, like right through your car, right through that screen, through the blockchain. Did anybody else see that? Because that was very interesting. It seems that Visa is just continuing to experiment because the amount of stuff that they're putting out with articles and stuff like this, it seems that they're getting more and more bullish. They do, like Jose said, kind of, spatter it with all these things, how it may still not work and it may have all these problems and things like that, but it might be the future. But it's clear that they're continuing. It's clear that they're putting their money where their mouth is, really. Because even if they're not saying like, oh, Bitcoin might be revolutionary if we do all these things, they're putting tons of money of investment into blockchain and into Bitcoin technology. So it's quite clear that just looking at where Visa's spending their money, they're caring about Bitcoin and blockchain technology. And it's really.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Horace.
Well, I wonder if that's like an Ethereum implementation of smart contracts through your car or something like that. Because I know IBM had forked Ethereum to work on their smart contracts for like the Internet of Things. So like your dishwasher runs out of soap, it automatically like orders you need stuff like this. And I just wonder what sort of blockchain they implemented to be able to order like car insurance through your car and stuff like that.
It's crazy. So the demo, I might be able to find the link too in a second, but basically the demo was they through the blockchain they purchased insurance. So the car itself was on the blockchain. So they purchased the insurance and it tied it to that car, and it was all through Visa and through everything. So I'll have to get that link because that was a fascinating demo to me, and it's been a couple months now since I've seen it, so I'm gonna have to paste that in when I find it. But it's funny because people say. People are all waiting for Bitcoin's killer app. I'm like, what's the killer app? And, Horace, you kind of said it already. It's like we've been using Bitcoin to send money across the countries for years already. And so the killer app for Bitcoin is already there. The killer app for Bitcoin is the ability to send money anywhere to anybody, anywhere on the planet, anytime. That's the killer app. Now, of course, we have this. And of course, we have this beautiful thing called Public Ledger, which is another part of Bitcoin that we can use for amazing things. It's just crazy. Bitcoin as a public ledger, settlement mechanism / currency and settlement mechanism, and then as a currency, it's just going to be crazy. It's going to attack so many paradigms, like Gabriel was saying. It's gonna really cut the fat out, just like the internet did with a bunch of companies. It's just going to cut the fat. It's going to optimize, and it's going to cut the fat. And yeah, you might lose your job, like people did at Blockbuster and stuff. But guess what? We got Netflix now, and so I think that eventually, there's going to be people are all worried about robots and stuff replacing with their jobs and things like that. But there's going to be things to supplement that eventually in the future, like a universal basic income, or even Bitcoin itself, making it possible for anybody in the world to sell anything to anybody. I mean, it's just people don't understand the kind of potential that can unlock for just a normal individual. I mean, it can literally make a normal individual a millionaire a lot faster than I think most people realize. So
going back to the whole, playing devil's advocate for Visa, I mean, they have a huge opportunity, if they really wanted to be nice, to bring Bitcoin to the masses if they wanted to. Because, every bank card pretty much is using Visa one way or another. They have, Visa on your card, right? You can use your, check card anywhere Visa's accepted, right? What if you could, literally take out Bitcoin, or purchase Bitcoin directly through the Visa network? And so, I mean, they have all kinds of potential. They could do wonders for Bitcoin because they would give pretty much instant credibility to, anyone who has a Visa check card has access to Bitcoin. That would be huge. So
right now they're waiting for the Bitcoin technology to catch up. Like the blockchain can't handle those sort of transactions right now. And that goes back to the whole comment I saw before. What do we think of Coinbase running BIP 101? And I think BIP 101 has to happen, and just not the way that it did. It was really poorly implemented. And at the end of the day, people can change it, but it comes down to what the miners and the exchanges think. If they don't switch over, it's dead in the water. And I think there was just a lot of fighting between the devs, and it just really wasn't a good scenario. But I think it's better it happened now at like a $5-6 billion market cap instead of a $100 billion market cap. These are the things we have to work through, clearly.
Absolutely. And I've said this a few times on the show, we have to, we'll talk about this soon too, to answer, Amin's question about BIP 101, but you have to, people want Bitcoin to be $1 million a coin, right? Like right now. And what I keep trying to tell everybody, and what the most intelligent people in the Bitcoin community continue to tell people, is that we have to take this slow. We have to take this slow, methodical, very, very, very thoughtful, and very, very precise, very on purpose, to make sure that we scale this thing correctly, because we only get one chance. The Bitcoin blockchain is nothing like it has ever existed on this planet before, and we're going to make damn sure that this multi-billion-dollar asset, is going to prevail. So people want it to be $1,000 a coin right now. Well, you know what? It will be eventually. It's going to take time. And as people continue to invest, as people continue to make new VIPs, new BIPs, as people continue to innovate on this thing, you'll see the price rise. It will happen, but that's going to take time. And I am all for this decentralized consensus. Yes, it's messy. It takes time. And there's a lot of bickering, and it even throws up a bunch of stupid articles like Bitcoin Civil War and things like that, and overhyping the situation and such. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have this this decentralized consensus be nice and messy than any type of thing that Janet Yellen is forcing. Janet Yellen's forcing down my throat, or the federal government, or the Federal Reserve is forcing down my throat with absolutely no choice at all. So these, or some rich guy in Washington, making choices and stuff for millions of people who want
it's a
something
rich
else.
guy who happens to be president. Hopefully not Donald Trump, but Ivan, who knows?
For sure. So
it's like the biggest. I forget what the word I'm looking for, but
demagogue.
No. It's like the biggest. Not oxymoron. What's the word I'm looking for? So, like, basically, we have this whole movement of like the 99% or the 1%, and then freaking billionaire gets elected.
Irony.
Voting cycle. Irony.
No, funny.
Yeah, I just wanted to post on the side there. I was looking at the Ether site real quick, and they're saying that they've looked through the DocuSign, which is what Visa's using to run that blockchain application. And they're saying they found addresses that are Ethereum addresses. And they've also found the founder of DocuSign going to this Ethereum meetup there. So I think it might legitimately be Ethereum smart contracts, which would be interesting.
Whoa, really? So that's what
I own a bunch of Ethereum, so.
So you think that's what it was using, was Ethereum?
Yeah, I think it's probably running on the Ethereum chain.
Whoa, that would be interesting to
it's
see.
made for smart contracts, right? So.
Yep, that'd be interesting to see. So that's really cool. I haven't read that anywhere else, so that's pretty cool that you're here to hear first if that's true. You know, Horace has the inside. No, he just pays really close attention. So that's really cool, man. Thanks for that. Yeah, that was fascinating when I first read it. So I got the link in there pasted. So if anybody wants to check that out, very, very cool. So I would like to answer this question from Bitcoin Art Gallery real quick. Just what do people think about the BIP 101 and that type of thing? We kind of covered it a little bit there, just briefly. But I'll start with Jose first. What do you think of this whole BIP 101 thing?
I mean, I don't have too much intimate knowledge with the whole BIP thing. I know I remember talking to you about it, and you were talking about how you think you prefer like basically 102 or 103 or something like that. I'm speaking to you.
Back then it was 103, but
yeah, you changed.
It's changed a little bit. I still now I prefer.
So I'll throw the question back at you. What do you think about it, Jeff?
Okay. Throwing it back to the host. Okay. Well, I'll go first and real quick. So I really think that that BIP 100 is going to be interesting. I think that's the one that I like right now. But there's all sorts of new BIPs being thrown in there. I forget the name of that new technology that that's
segregated witness.
Yeah, Gabriel for the win. Segregated witness. That type of solution I think I like the most. I mean, that's interesting, being used on other coins as well with success. So I think that's could prove to be really interesting. But it's either going to be really for me that or BIP 100. But really, at the end of the day, it's whatever the consensus is, and that's what's important. So I don't really have a personal choice per se anymore. I was kind of really vocal about 100 and 103 and stuff in the beginning, but with stuff like segregated witness coming out, I mean, how can you choose any one solution? You have to let the community really derive consensus on what they believe to be the best, and that community is the whole world. Made up of miners, VCs, wallets, investors, and so on and so forth. So, Gabriel, do you have anything to say about BIP 101 and the resulting ban on Coinbase on our Bitcoin?
I definitely have something to say.
All right.
So first of all, I do disagree with Horace. He said that we definitely need BIP 101 at some point. This is not what you said?
We have to turn up the block size at some point, but just I didn't agree the way they did it.
Okay, I'm not sure I agree with that either. We have to increase throughput of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Transaction throughput, obviously, yes. Interestingly, it's amazing to see how the transaction throughput and speed of transaction work hand in hand. I was really stoked when Lightning came out in February. That was just mind-blowing. I was like, yes, these guys are coming together with the plans, how to do it. They're making payment channels practical, and I just to see how that not only increased the throughput of the network, but also made it instant and kept the security. That was something else. Yeah. So first of all, I want to address regarding this debate, the block size limit debate. I totally agree with Vortex on how the important thing is that it's decentralized. The hilarious disinformation being peddled by the pretty obviously paid trolls on many different outlets like Twitter and Reddit, that they're making the sky is falling because there isn't consensus yet, and it's so hilarious because that's actually the opposite. Just like in democracy, which is much less inefficient than authoritarian governments. The constant debate and lack of consensus is so important and so positive. It's a great sign. Man, nothing makes me happier than when a government is gridlocked. I think that's awesome. That means that there isn't consensus, so fucking don't do anything. That's where we are with Bitcoin. There isn't consensus. None of the ideas are good enough, so fucking don't do anything. Now, there is an interesting counter argument to that, which is by not doing anything is also a type of doing something. I understand that, but and I also understand the thought that just because it's worked until now, it doesn't mean that it's going to work tomorrow. The turkey's life just went great until the morning of Thanksgiving. On a social and community level, all of this disagreement is terrific. And I'm not surprised at all by the Reddit splitting off, because Thamos is who's the Bitcoin subreddit owner, I guess you call it.
Moderator.
Moderator, yeah. He's extremely strict. He won't allow any discussions about Bitcoin XT, and I believe even about Counterparty, which is actually built on top of Bitcoin, which is interesting. But just because they have their own native token, he wouldn't allow it. So, I wasn't surprised at all to see that splintering happen, and I also wasn't surprised at all to see the new subreddits that are run by other people completely overrun by trolls on various sides of the argument. Like, for example, r/BTC just flooded with pro block size limit raising trolls. Just really obvious, probably paid trolls. Some of them, spreading this propaganda, which I think is just a natural consequence of a decentralized system, and not a problem in any way. Just as I'm also, arguing that the block size limit debate also isn't a problem. Now, it is, however, a very valid, concern, not only throughput, but the opposite side, right? Which is, the price you have to pay for increasing throughput. You don't want it to affect your decentralization. That's the really the amazing thing about the paid trolls is, it's the huge blind spot in the argument for raising the block size, which is it's fairly obvious that it will affect mining centralization negatively. In other words, it will increasingly centralize mining. I don't know about you, but we already have a major problem with mining centralization now. I mean, there was a recent, one of those conferences where there was some mining, executives on a stage, and the moderator says, we've got 83% of the mining capacity on this, represented on this stage right now.
It was like 90%.
Right. That's it's crazy. It's unacceptable. The main thing that distinguishes Bitcoin from anything that came before it, not after, obviously there's, newcomers that are built on that concept or related concepts. The main thing that distinguishes it is its decentralization. If you give that up, everything else falls. That's the first domino. So, and like Peter Todd says, I don't know why you're talking about raising the block size limit. We've already got mining centralization problems. Maybe we should lower the block size limit. Obviously that's, probably not a good idea since our average is over 50% now. But
still a good point.
The point is, it's a valid, it's hyperbole, but he's got a valid point.
What was the pool that hit 51%? Was it ghash.io that hit 51% mining?
Yeah, that never really worried me because Ghash is a legitimate mining pool outfit where their users will just leave if they do anything dangerous. But if some other player were to get that type of mining power, then they could definitely use it to compromise the network. Most of the miners are in China. China has an authoritarian government. Most governments in the world are authoritarian. I was just listening to an interview on Let's Talk Bitcoin with James D'Angelo, who does all those excellent learning Blackboard videos on YouTube, the World Bitcoin Network. And he was talking about his proposal to make part of miners have to give their identity to make them not anonymous. And his contention is that there's an axiom that you can either have it decentralized or you can have it anonymous. You can't have both. He may be right. I hope he's wrong. That way we can have a greater variety of types of systems, decentralized systems in the future. I have a feeling he's wrong, but certainly right now, that's an interesting proposal. Probably will never get off the ground. So we've got this culture of consensus and lack of consensus. And we've got various proposals coming down the pike. And we've got segregated witness that came through, which does not raise the block size limit. And it doesn't, it actually is so powerful that it literally doubled the block capacity in general. So and whenever, from the point that SegWit goes live to forever, all blocks will be able to hold double to 3 times as much transactions that they do now.
That's amazing.
So if you were to raise the block size now to 2 megabyte, you would double the block size. But if you do it after SegWit, your throughput will increase 4 to 6 times. That type of technological advance is exactly what we need. The related proposals, of course, Lightning Network is not the end of the line. That's just the first hub and spoke payment channel, or that's the first payment channel network proposal. We've got so many more advanced technology breakthroughs to make for this to work. And it's so important to keep the decentralization as the first priority. Everything else is super important too, but decentralization has to come first. That's why I think it's great that there was a deadlock. It's great that there's so many different proposals and different discussions and 20, and then the miners say, we'll go to 8, and then no, wait, maybe we should just do 2. And now it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't do anything and just let the payment, just let the transaction fee economy grow up, and maybe it costs you $1 to make a Bitcoin transaction for a few months. I think that the people who genuinely believe in the promise of Bitcoin, the promise that the Satoshi Nakamoto's vision, even though he might, it was obviously incomplete. You can't. It's open source. That's the whole point. It's always incomplete. There's no such thing as cool. Now we're done. Now it's Bitcoin. Yeah. There might be a point where you're like, wow, this is rocking. Let's go to 1.0.
Yeah.
That's okay. This is out of beta. Badass. But it's never done. There's never Firefox last. It's Firefox 43, then 44, then X. Yeah. So Bitcoin will never be done.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, please go on.
Oh yeah. So basically, another technology, that you didn't mention in there, in addition to the Lightning Network, is sidechains. That's another beautiful technology that I think in 2016 will really start to mature, will really start to take off, and that keeps Bitcoin decentralized. Do all your stuff on sidechains, and keep away from the main Bitcoin network if you have to. But I think a lot of people are talking about how bad off-chain transactions are and stuff, and it's really not bad. I mean, there is some that's needed. You can't put every single transaction of every single thing on the entire planet everywhere on the blockchain. We understand that. Maybe one day. But definitely not now. Right now, we need to have a combination of sidechains, Lightning Network, and SegWitness, and all of these things.
Tree chains, subchains.
Yeah, see, we need all of this
new
to be able
brand
to
new.
get decentralized. Yeah, that's amazing to be able to keep it decentralized, and the fact that this stuff just keeps coming, it never stops. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating. I've never, I didn't get to grow up during really the beginnings of the internet. I was young, I was living in Minnesota in the middle of nowhere, so I didn't really get to experience like the internet, like growing up and be a part of it and be a part of the conversation and even really care about the conversation because I was too young. But being a part of the Bitcoin conversation is just absolutely amazing, and everybody likens it to the beginnings of the internet, the excitement, the innovation, the technology, the implications that it could bring, and it's beautiful. It's like being back again in the beginnings of the internet. I feel like I'm definitely a part of something revolutionary, and I think everybody in the community really does. And that's one of the beautiful things that Bitcoin really empowers.
I think in a lot of ways it's actually bigger because, in a sense, when they were discussing TCP/IP and all those protocols, that wasn't as many people working on the problem. It was like a few people, a couple companies, whereas you have mass amount of people working on the same problems. You know, and I think that speaks a lot to, you know, the technology and where we are now. On top of the fact, I think overall, I think the decentralization, as we was talking about, not only protects us financially, but I think it is a way also to protect us from the government as a whole worldwide. Because if you have a decentralized economy, you can't have an authoritarian government ruling the world, essentially. And I think that will keep democracy safe in the long run throughout the world, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
On a side note, could you maybe go a little bit more specifics on segregated witness and how that came about, and like more on the tech side of it? Because I'm actually not familiar with it.
Segregated witness is just the signature.
Go ahead first, Gabriel. Go ahead, and then Horace.
Sorry, Horace. I actually wanted to finish up what I was saying and coming back to the original question from Bitcoin Art Gallery. So he's talking about the hubbub around Thamos, the moderator of the Bitcoin subreddit, blocking comments about Coinbase. Taking Coinbase out of the Bitcoin.org website, which he also runs. And I think that is. I don't agree with Eric Voorhees on this. I love Voorhees' businesses. I think he's totally awesome, but I don't agree with him on this. He's trying to like play referee and like, hey, you know, stop blocking this and blocking that. I totally don't agree. I think, you know, Bitcoin.org is not Bitcoin. It's a domain that's controlled by the domain, you know, centralized services. Thamos bought it at the time. That is property. It's a limited, it's a limited resource like Bitcoin or gold. It's something that you can't duplicate. There's only one Bitcoin.org owner. And he has total right. It's a totalitarian system. Just like you have a right to send your Bitcoin to Vortex or Jose, you know, Thamos has the right, total right, to say do anything he wants with our Bitcoin and to do anything he wants with Bitcoin.org. He doesn't like Coinbase because they're running an experiment at Bit 101. Doesn't seem very dangerous to me. Fine, remove them from your wallet list. I mean, they don't even have a real wallet anyways. It's an off-chain wallet, so I don't really care. Coinbase is very famous. They have 3 million users. I don't think they need necessarily the advertising, the unpaid advertising that they were getting on Bitcoin.org. I think it's a total boondoggle, and I almost think that the trolls have seized on it in order to move the conversation away from things that matter, like the block size debate. You know, this is like something that really doesn't matter. Regarding segregated witness, I know Horace is about to answer. All it is that, you know, transactions have a bunch of data in them. Some of that data is signatures, and you don't have to actually store that in the block. So all it is segregating the signatures, removing the signatures out of the blocks and putting them somewhere else. I'm not exactly sure on the details, but they just basically remove the signature part of the transaction data, and it's not needed. Yeah.
So I've got to run to a work call here. I just got a message. I'll be back later if you guys are still around. Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, welcome anytime, Horace.
Take care. Have a great night.
Yeah. So basically, they've just removed approximately half of the data. For multi-sig, it's more because, of course, there's more signatures. So that's why it's double or more per block, depending on how much multi-sig is going on. As you know, as time goes on, the effect of SegWit will be higher because there'll be more multi-sig transactions.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how the effect compounds, you know, over time. So very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Jose?
Where would they store the signatures?
Yeah, well, I wonder where they would store the signatures, if not in the block.
Yeah, that. I'm trying to remember. Maybe somebody can chime in about that. So basically, what I had the same question, and I was looking it up, and the answer was so complex that my brain kind of barfed. But you know, basically, there's a storage of them in some sort of client data. It's stored in the client. So your wallet, you know, you're running the full node, and your wallet is actually storing that in the local data. So anybody who's running the post SegWit, it can be run as a soft fork. Actually, think it was BTC Drac came up with a way to introduce segregated witness as a soft fork. It doesn't have a couple of the advantages of doing it as a hard fork, but so that way the old nodes will see, will just say, oh, wow, that's a weird transaction. I don't think it's valid. And then the new nodes will see all of it, and they'll store the signatures locally.
That's interesting because that makes sense because since you have to basically when you're running a node, you have the entire blockchain. You're gonna have it anyways, on your computer, right? So essentially, everyone has a copy of all the signatures locally, and then everything else runs. So it removes it from light clients wouldn't have the signatures on locally.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, light clients definitely wouldn't. I mean, light clients don't have the blockchain at all. So right. I think it's basically they just move it out into and move the signatures into onto the client side instead of being in the database. Yeah,
very powerful, very cool. Yet another
amazing innovation. Crazy, but
dude, Bitcoin just doesn't stop. It's just amazing.
Yeah. What were you saying, Jose?
No, I was just theorizing possible problems with that. More to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jose, we're not exactly Bitcoin engineers, so we can try to talk about the problems, but we're probably gonna be off by a little bit.
It's just the tech, the developer brain part of my head that's.
Well, it's the miners, of course, that are actually checking the signatures and doing the math on that. So it's not like by relaying transactions. I think they just like they strip some header data and things from transactions that are several years old or whatever. The actual signature data isn't that important once it's already been through a certain amount of blocks. It would be so difficult to commit any sort of fraud. Especially since it's still decentralized and it's still out there. The signature data is still out there and duplicated a lot of places. It just happens not to be in the blockchain specifically.
Right.
Oops, I was muted there. So Bitcoin Art Gallery, we actually just kind of spoke a bit about XT versus Bitcoin Core and stuff like that. But I'm actually not running a node personally. I know Jose's not running a node, but I know Gabriel is running a node. What are you running on that node, Gabriel? What version of Bitcoin?
Bitcoin Core. I believe it's 0.11.1 or 0.11.2. I believe it's the latest non-beta, it's all beta, but it's the latest stable release. XT. I'm pretty sure Mike Hearn is. Had some MI6 show up to his place and tell him he better do something about this Bitcoin thing or his family will be killed. Or maybe, I don't know. I just have a feeling that Mike Hearn has been seriously compromised and Andreessen as well. So XT has a built-in IP blocking function. I really don't see the need for that. Right now the code is not that bad. It's just if they're getting a DDoS attack from a certain node, it'll automatically block it. Otherwise, everything's open. But that's definitely a slippery slope. I don't see any need for blacklisting code in proper cryptocurrencies. So I would never ever consider running XT, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's a slippery slope, as you said. I keep trying to tell people this, but they're like, "Oh, but you have to be able to protect yourself." And I'm like, "There's a million other ways that network security that you can protect yourself and stuff. We don't have to build that kind of thing into Bitcoin because that directly affects the fungibility, and that's a huge part of what makes Bitcoin Bitcoin. Is the fact that there is no wrong coin. There is no bad coin. You want to send money to WikiLeaks, you want to send money to Edward Snowden, you can send money anywhere you want with absolutely no capital controls. And so I don't think that I'm for XT as well, based on that kind of stuff. I never really was for XT because of the way that Mike Hearn and Gavin were pushing it. I mean, I tell you, and now I hear that Mike Hearn joined the
R3?
The Bitcoin, R3, the freaking startup that's in the blockchain consortium or blockchain alliance, whatever you want to call it. And so it's like, what the hell, dude? What are we supposed to believe? I mean, he's working for these multi-billion-dollar banks, and we're supposed to believe he's got a Bitcoin's best interest in mind. I don't think so. I don't think so. Something tells me not. Somebody wants to join in. Ari Nor. Let's see. Let's have him join in and see what's going on.
What's up, my fellow Bitcoiners?
How you doing,
Hey, Ari?
Doing excellent.
All right.
How do you pronounce your name? Is it Ari?
Ari
or-
Noir.
It's Ari.
Ari
Okay, cool.
Noir. I love it. So I want to correct you, Vortex, on that last statement that you made there. Philosophically, Bitcoin is definitely pro fungibility, and I agree. Nearly everyone agrees that. I mean, since the Scottish, court made the ruling in the 17th century about fungibility, where somebody had their money stolen and had exchanged hands a couple times, and then they saw their marked bills, and they wanted them back. The court ruled you will destroy the fungibility of money if you get this money back. But currently, Bitcoin is not completely fungible. I mean, if you're talking about, it depends on the context. From what I've read, this could be total bullshit, but I've heard that Virgin Coin has a 20 to 30% markup over regular Bitcoin. Like if you want to buy newly minted coins, newly mined coins, you're talking about 20 to 30% markup on average. I don't know. I've heard this. Certainly, if you're,
that can very much be the case in the future. There could definitely be like a factor we call maybe like hotness of a coin. Like how cold or hot it is, and how, which is basically the age of it and how many transactions it's been through. And that I think that's certainly going to be in the future once Bitcoin really starts getting massively global. Now, I don't think that'll affect the fungibility at all, but it will at least give us like an ability to kind of weigh coins and different things. And so, of course,
that is fungibility, Vortex. I mean, that's
true.
what fungibility means. One unit is the same as any other unit, and already it's not, because the blockchain offers you that transparency. So,
we know for a fact, of course, that Coinbase, obviously the central entities like Coinbase check your history and stuff. And if you try to send coins from like a Silk Road address or or an address that's actually been through a mixer, or anything that coins have been through a mixer to Coinbase, they automatically kill that. So that's affecting the fungibility a little bit. But I guess I'm talking about more or less just being able to, like me directly send a coin to anybody I want. Like that's still possible. I can still send a coin to Edward Snowden or to anybody, to WikiLeaks, to any of those people. I can still send that instantaneously, directly, no matter what.
Yeah.
Now,
that's uncensorability. That's the uncensorability, not the fungibility. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when you start sending stuff around, though, that's where the fungibility. When you start trying to use it in marketplaces and different things, and people start paying attention to that, that's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like how much attention are people going to pay to the history of a coin and to things like that to really see, because we're already seeing Coinbase implement functions. So I wondered how far that's going to go.
You can control which coin gets sent out.
Well, for example, Coinbase has software that checks the history for a certain length of where a coin has been, and if it's hit a certain if it's hit a list of black addresses that they are deemed to be bad, then your account automatically basically they cancel your account, or they lock you out of your account, or they send you a message. They give you some type of notification.
There's no such thing as say I could track the very first mined Bitcoin, and I want to own that coin. There's no way I can find the person who has it and then have him send me that particular coin, and I'll send that person 300 Bitcoin because I want that first coin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, we can tell the history. We can already tell the history, of course, of a coin and a transaction and stuff, and how long a coin has been around. So there might be a whole market.
Just like in the regular currency market, you can find rare coins. That essentially their legal federal value is like one silver dollar or whatever, but collectors will pay hundreds of dollars for just to own that particular coin.
Ari, let me ask you. So, Ari, how long have you been into Bitcoin?
Oh man, for weeks, I tell you.
Weeks and weeks, huh?
I got a question for you guys though.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you guys look like you missed the train earlier. If I can be honest. You're true believers now though.
Missed the train.
Missed the Bitcoin train?
Yeah. No, is that not the case?
Well,
Oh,
I
no.
think he means getting in too late as far as the price goes. But that's the beautiful thing
that's
about
what I mean.
Bitcoin.
Not me.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, no, as far as the price goes. But yeah, I got
Yeah,
a couple of buddies that could have gotten, could be sitting on pretty good money right now.
That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's never too late to get in. You know, everybody, you might say that all the people who got in for like under $100 are like, oh man, those guys, I wish I could have done that. But right now the price is $400. So soon, you're going to be people are going to be saying, oh man, I wish I could have gotten in for under 1,000.
Right,
and pretty soon they're going to be like, I wish I could have gotten in for under 10,000.
Right,
And so
okay.
it's going to continue to escalate.
Hey, no, we're going to definitely we should buy a private island together. But this is my question to you though: is
Sure.
I was doing research and checking in on it because I want to be stinking filthy rich one day. That'd be awesome, right? So I was doing some research on this, and it looked like a good idea. And I came up with this theory, right? That we don't know who created Bitcoin. There's kind of a push to get away from the dollar, to a decentralized currency would actually help out the world as a whole. And then you got the Bitcoin mining thing. So that means if Google ever decides to turn on their servers, then they would be getting those coins every hour, right? So it seems like it was created. And this was my theory.
That's not true. That's not true.
What's not true?
Google would have to purchase giant amount of special mining hardware, and that would not go unnoticed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very special.
What would that
it's
be?
not normal servers.
What does that mean? How would that affect?
Because miners use special hardware. They can't.
Right.
Google would not be able to
Right.
repurpose their current
miner. When the next generation of computer comes online, then all of the old miners, they have to go away because they can't compete anymore. So they can still, from what I've learned, they can.
Yeah, that's already happened. Yeah.
Right. So if they get to, if a company decides to do this, if Goldman Sachs decides to mine for coins, everybody's done. They've got all the coins, and they're just in my simple mind, I'm thinking. What's the stopgap on that?
A simple answer. I probably know the least out of all these guys. So essentially, there's a couple of protections that go into place, right? So we already talked about the 51% situation, right? So if one group ever was able to have a pool essentially at 51% mining over everyone else, they would essentially could collapse Bitcoin altogether. But the thing is that people would leave that pool for say. You know what I'm saying? The main issue is the 51% issue. Can you explain it better, Gabriel?
Yes, they can't collapse Bitcoin.
It's not just Bitcoin, but essentially it makes it loses.
You guys aren't gonna. I have to steal the mic. I'm sorry to do that, but I want to get my question answered, right? So my question is, do you think that it's possible or that it has been made? Because there's other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin is getting a lot of popularity for some reason. Do you think that it's being engineered, that it's being, that there's some shit that's going on behind the scenes that we don't know?
Well, so getting into a little bit of a little conspiracy theory stuff.
I definitely have some juice for you here. But first the mining thing, very hard to take over without everybody noticing. It's so transparent. That's one of its strengths in that sense. Is
the
that
value would just go up if people learn that Merrill Lynch is creating mining for
coins. First of all, it would probably strengthen it, if anything. Right, exactly. Then if they attacked it, everyone would know. You could just stop it and then fork it and start it again, no problem. So it's very, very difficult to attack with a mining attack. I mean, right now the hash rate is going up really fast. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's almost like a quintillion hashes per second. It's ridiculously fast. So it's so hard. I mean, if Goldman Sachs gets in, what's to stop the Chinese central bank from getting in and Chilean bank from getting in and anybody? It's open. So that's like the internet. Nobody could stop some kid in Cameroon from developing an app. But here's what you're really looking for. Check out this guy, David Wilcock.
Yeah.
You ever heard? You know?
Oh, I know all about David Wilcock. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. David Wilcock. He's got all sorts of crazy ideas. He's a weirdo. But maybe we should mute Ari here. He's a little bit loud.
I can mute him.
Hold on, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, let me.
I muted you, Ari.
Okay. So Oh, actually, that's interesting. I can still hear him. Well, whatever.
Yeah. There's audio. Oh, really?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a little loud. Maybe you could mute. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so David Wilcock, he's real into aliens. He's really into psychic shit. He's really into all sorts of super, super out there, but he's really kind of together in the way that he says it. He's a best-selling author. David Wilcock. He lives in L.A. He's this blonde guy. He does all these talks with alien people. He said that his sources, which he claims to have lots of different secret sources, some of who have come, some of whom are public, some of whom have stayed private. His source, I just found this on a talk that he gave earlier this year. His source said that Bitcoin came out of the NSA. It was meant to help people. It was from the good guys in the NSA that saw what was happening, saw that the government had been taken over, and these good guys knew the cryptography, put together Bitcoin to help humanity transition from the time of now of the fiat Babylonian money system to a time of total abundance where we won't need money, like Star Trek world, where most things you won't need money for. If things are all, if most things are totally abundant and you have complete free energy, there's no need for money. It's only when there's scarcity that you need money in economies. So Wilcock was saying that Bitcoin is a good thing. It's a more fair money system for the last few decades of the scarcity world. That's his conspiracy theory about it.
Very cool.
I don't know.
Yeah. I always kind of postulated that it was from the CIA or NSA, something internal that could really have the bird's eye view on what's going on, because there's very few people that really know what's going on in totality in terms of the government, because of course we all know that there is shadow governments and stuff like that, and it's actually of course not the president that's running the United States. There's hundreds and hundreds of levels of security above the president. So we know that it's not the president. And so if the people that have that kind of eye on the ball is the CIA and the NSA. So, and there's good guys in there. There's good guys and bad guys. And so I think that for sure that the good guys somewhere in there must have seen what was happening, like Gabriel said, seen the takeover. And if you're smart and you're in the CIA and the NSA, you can kind of figure out what comes next. What comes next is a freaking slave society, a global one world kind of slave society.
So going back to the whole thing about still on the 51% situation. So the issue with the 51% situation is that essentially after 51%, it's no longer decentralized for sale. Is that correct?
Yes, but they would have to do an attack.
That's the fear of the 51%. Like, what's the fear of the 51%? Like, if I own 55%, if I run 55% of the minery pool.
Well, here's the beautiful thing, Jose, is that the game mechanics inside of Bitcoin will incentivize people to not take over 51%.
I know that, but
that's the whole beautiful thing.
What I'm trying to get at is what is the fear of going out higher than 50? Is the decentralization issue, right? That's basically
the fear is that a miner who owned 51% or more of the hash rate could then forge transactions.
And then
They would just forge transactions. The thing is, that is super easy to detect. You can tell from the IPs, the people whose transactions are getting co-opted it's gonna be an uproar, because there's gonna be a point where you can see that this miner has this much hash power, and then at that block the transaction starts screwing up. Everyone flees. Then that person who bought all that mining hardware to do the 51% attack loses their entire investment, because everybody buys an altcoin with their Bitcoin and floods out of the system. Bitcoin goes down to 0.01 cents per coin. Nobody's using it because the mining got too centralized. All the other miners leave the Bitcoin blockchain and go to an altcoin, go to Bitcoin 2, and everybody moves there, and they've got the exact same thing. They just pick up exactly at that one block before the fraud.
Anyone who gets stuck with Bitcoin is screwed. So that's where I guess the collapse situation.
Yeah,
not really because
stop it entirely.
Not everyone. That's not true what you said about people who had Bitcoin before, because when you copy the blockchain over to the new altcoin and you pick up where you left off, all the private keys are still there. Everyone can just pick up where they left off with that block and have the exact same amount of money.
So there's no real bubble then, huh?
Well,
No
there's
bubble. Well, and the price. I mean, speculation happens, but you can't do 51% attack is not that practical. It's much more practical to do spam and DDoS attacks against Bitcoin. That's a lot more practical if you're going to attack it.
Yeah, and even Andreas said, like, it technically wouldn't. First of all, 51% is a theory, and technically, really, to get 51%, you really need more like 85% if you really want to start taking over transactions. And again, like Gabriel said, everybody can see this; it's public. So as soon as somebody sees somebody double spending, which is what the worry is with 51%, as soon as they see somebody double spending, boom, they'll ban them. They'll recognize it. It'll be all over Reddit. Nobody will be processing their transactions anymore. We'll go back to normal because everything is so public and transparent, you just can't stop it. And as Gabriel said, even if they were somehow to collapse the value of Bitcoin, severely kill it, we would just boot up another coin that was completely resilient to what killed the first one, and we'd keep on doing it again until.
So speculation is not even it's not even a good idea for Bitcoin.
Oh no! Speculation
is just
is
to
completely
use it.
needed.
No, but I'm just saying.
No,
I just need.
I don't agree with that.
But I'm saying it's never. It's going to have to run in parallel with another currency. It's only the best thing about it is that it's decentralized. You don't have to go through the bureaucracy. So no matter what, it's almost better if it doesn't become mainstream for the people that are benefiting from it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the thing is that it needs. It's gonna. Here's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin: it's useful at any size. It really is useful in any size, but really to be globally useful for every citizen on this planet, it has to go mainstream. It has to be huge. The liquidity in it has to be in the trillions. If you look at Forex, if you look at gold, if you look at other, large silos of money and stuff where we put our money, these markets are $1 trillion, markets and stuff. And so Bitcoin is just this tiny little puddle right now, but it has so much room to grow, and there's going to be people that see that and take advantage of it and put money into it. And as more money gets put into it, more applications come out, and as more applications come out, more people can use it. So really, it's going to be beneficial no matter what, but it really is going to either go completely world mainstream or be this niche little nothing. It kind of has no other option. It's very binary. It
could just replace gold essentially.
Eventually, it can very much replace gold. Now, we'll still have gold, but again, how useful will gold be in a global economy that's 100% using Bitcoin and blockchain? Gold will not be that useful.
No, what I'm saying is that it could just get as big as gold per se, and
certainly can.
There.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I agree that with this binary thought. It's very common to hear that come around, and I think that there's a lot to a lot of evidence to suggest that Bitcoin will either kind of fail and be really niche or be absolutely massive because it's just a giant network. But I guess there's a smaller possibility that it could also be kind of medium sized and just form. It all depends. I mean, the price of the Bitcoin, is dependent, or the market cap, I should say, of Bitcoin is dependent on its use and speculation. So its use now and what people expect its use to be in the future. That's what determines the price of Bitcoin. It's free floating, so it's people's opinions, So we're invested in it. We believe that it'll be big in the future. Other people are not investing in it, ignoring it. Maybe even actively dissing it, setting up a Bitcoin subreddit called Buttcoin to make fun of it. And we feel that they're going to be disappointed, but they could be right too. And then all their trust that they put in fiat will be rewarded by when it's deflating. Yeah, right. But yeah, I think it is more likely that it will go absolutely massive, like the internet, which is 2.5 billion users, soon to be 7. Or possibly, relatively niche in the sub $100 billion range. But I wouldn't.
So the question I like to ask, Ari, let me ask you: what's more important to you, email or money?
Email or money?
What's more important to you, email or money?
I would have to say money.
Money, right? So money, that's the correct answer. Money is more important to everybody than email. And that's the thing. People are like, couldn't this get as big as the internet? Could this be a new financial internet? And really, you have to ask yourself, well, the internet revolutionized the whole world, the whole planet. It brought everybody together, but so we can do things like this. We can talk live right now via this blab. But let me ask you, Art, but Oh, Ari's gone there. But so
all right.
I'll just finish my sentence. Let me finish.
Because theoretically, the internet represents information, and knowledge is power. Knowledge, I think, trumps money. But if you go back to the whole situation, it was like eventually in the future, if technology keeps progressing like it is, we will get to a period of overabundance or whatever, however you want to call it. So essentially, currency, money doesn't really mean so much. But the issue is that this also is a record keeping, right? Records are always going to be important, right? Ledgers, information of how things happen, agreements between people that aren't necessarily related to currency. So even in a moneyless kind of society, there is still use. Bitcoin remains useful, I think. Right?
Yeah. So I do like to ask people that question though. What's more important, email or money? And of course, every time everybody says money, and so that's really where you gotta wonder how important is Bitcoin to the world, and it's pretty darn important because with the internet, like I was going to say, we're talking here live. But hey, Jose, let me try to send you, like, if you were in Germany, let me try to send you like $500 real quick or $1,000. See how easy that is. It's not. It would take a week. It would take fees. It would be a horrible experience. But with Bitcoin, I could send you money. You could hold up a QR code, like a picture of a QR code. You could hold it up or hold up your phone right now, and I could use my phone and hold it up and send you money instantly.
Barcode postcard with me, bro.
Right now. So that's the beautiful thing about about.
I should have it ready though. Actually, let me pull up Coinbase real quick.
So I just want to welcome all the new people who are here to the show. Welcome. I can't pronounce that name. Hackman. He said, "Can we try that?" Yeah, so Jose will hold up the phone. So as you can see, Jose has a QR code there. And Shiley, okay, there we go. Shiley.
Everybody, you guys can send me all your money.
Yeah, so anybody right now can scan his code and send him Bitcoin instantaneously because Bitcoin is instant. So Bitcoin, so that's the beautiful thing. So we can talk here, we can send money, and I can hold up my phone right now and like scan his code and send him money with my phone if I wanted to right now. So that's the beautiful thing. Shiley wants to join in. Well, let's let her join in. Let's see what we got. Another person wants to join. This is the most people
and I don't know what
I've had join in. Hey, Shiley, how you doing?
Sweet. Thank you.
Look, I did it. I just scanned it, and now it says Bitcoin, and it has like a bunch of jibber jabber.
You need a Bitcoin wallet.
So if I have a Bitcoin wallet, this will go straight to my Bitcoin wallet?
Yep.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep.
I scanned
it.
And there's it.
Sweet. That's cool.
That is cool.
That's the first step. But you got to get the Bitcoin wallet, because then you can actually send or receive. So you can hold up your QR code to either send or receive.
I would like to receive. So can you guys show me how to receive?
No, well, you can you can definitely go ahead and download any one of the good wallets for iPhone or Android. Are you running an Android or an iPhone on there?
iPhone, baby.
Okay, yeah, so you can download, a bunch of apps like Bread Wallet, or there's a bunch of different actual choices of wallets to use, and they're all free, and you can just download that, and then you can go ahead and buy yourself some Bitcoin on Coinbase.com, or you could earn Bitcoin by putting that QR code up on like your YouTube videos or your content, and people can just scan that and pay instantly.
If they give me, let's say they pay in credit card, and then does that convert then to like Bitcoin, or they have to have Bitcoin in order to send me money very easily?
Yeah, so if you're talking about just a pure Bitcoin address and a pure Bitcoin QR code, you have to have Bitcoin. There's no intermediary. That's the beautiful thing.
Right.
It's directly.
You have to have the thing. There's no like conversion, like let me just charge my credit card and have it convert money or some bullshit.
You can use services to do that. That's called buying. It's like gold. You can't. If somebody gives you a gold coin, you don't automatically have dollars. You'd have to sell it at a store.
Right. I've been researching Bitcoin for a while now, but I mean, it's good to have experts because I've seen documentaries. I've seen this like weird stock exchange type deal that's happening in these Bitcoin lounge things. I don't know. Do you know about this? I don't know. I don't remember what documentary I was watching, but they went into, maybe it was Morgan Spurlock actually. I'm obsessed with him. And like, they were like selling
definitely had one
live.
You bet. And so that was an interesting documentary. That was way back in the heyday. That actually was filmed like 6 to 12 months before it was even aired. So it was filmed kind of way back in the heyday.
Really?
So it was very interesting because, back then there wasn't a whole lot of shops accepting Bitcoin, but now there's over 100,000 merchants and it continues to grow.
I saw that there was they had a coffee shop on there that you could just like scan Bitcoin. I saw like 1 or 2 restaurants. No, I think the bar I was at last week had Bitcoin. It was like a nerd bar, and I was like, oh.
Yep. It'll probably have Bitcoin then. If it's anything to do with
right on. Like, hey, like if I can come in here and like fuck around and play Settlers and like get a beer and then pay with Bitcoin, like why not? Like,
you bet. And it's so fast and it's so quick. You just scan your code and it's done. You don't have to worry about the merchant doesn't have to worry about you charging them back, or fraudulent charges or anything like that. And you don't have to worry about, did my money get there, or did the right amount get processed, or did did the credit card screw something up, or it's just always works, always there.
Now, Shiley, I have some good news for you, Shiley.
Right,
Bitcoin is a lot easier than Settlers of Catan, so don't worry about that.
Settlers is fantastic. It makes
it's much harder. It's much harder.
Oh, I love that game.
It's a lot less competitive too.
I'm competitive, so I like the competitive edge there. But this is my big question with Bitcoin, though, for real, because I understand that the stability of Bitcoin has been all over the place because the value the currency exchange between dollar or whatever has gone all over the place. Sometimes maybe it's a good investment, maybe it's not, but like it's screwy. I don't want my coffee worth 2 Bitcoin one day and then like 1,000 Bitcoin the next, or micro Bitcoins.
So the question of volatility, it basically so Bitcoin is definitely volatile. That's why we kind of we don't recommend you invest too much money into it right now.
That's what I was
thinking. But it's a long-term investment is what it is. So the price does go up and down, but it does go up and down. I don't know if you can see, it's very choppy, but it does go up and down, right? But here's what Bitcoin does. Ready? Bitcoin goes like this. So it goes up and down, but it's always going up over time. So
really?
For example, Bitcoin, at one time was worth nothing. Then it was worth a penny.
Yeah.
And then
$1. Less, much less. It started out like a 20th of a cent.
Yeah, it started at nothing, really, But yeah, it gained its way up to $1, then to $10, and to $100, and eventually to $1,000. Now, it's got a lot more growth to go. Yeah, it hit $1,000 a coin, $1,200 a coin in 2013. And so, unfortunately, that kind of brought in, it brought in a lot of good press, but it brought in a lot of bad press. And we had because we got speculated up so high, we had to come down. There's no way that Bitcoin was worth $1,200 a Bitcoin at that point. So we had an entire year of going down, and that was 2014. The entire year was just down, But this year was interesting because this year we finally balanced out between 200 and 300. So this year the entire year.
Oh wow, it's a big difference than 1,200.
Oh yeah. The entire year that was between 200 and 300, and now it finally actually is up a little bit at 420.
Wait, a little bit? That's 85%.
Yeah, so it's definitely up, several tens of percents.
It's a gamble, though. It's like legitimately, it's fair to say it's a gamble.
It is, but here's what I recommend to people. Here's what I recommend. It is an investment, but it's a long-term investment. So if you are going to invest, then make sure to buy and hold on to it, and spend a little bit of it, but to hold on to the vast majority of it, so that in time it can be worth more over time. So if you want to buy. Go ahead.
Is the convenience then not worth it then? Is the convenience of like, I can use it at these merchants? Like I've seen it on like some websites that I can pay with Bitcoin.
Well, so Bitcoin is
because that's why I would be getting into it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. It's a million things. It's a store of value like gold to hold on to appreciate over time, but it's also a currency that you can spend at those shops instantaneously and much easier than any type of credit card.
I don't use credit cards, so that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, you bet.
But but can't Bitcoin evaporate too, though, because it's all digital?
For sure. So, Bitcoin could.
Like answers. Here we go.
Yeah. So, so what happens is, it could actually fail, but the thing is that it will never go to zero because every coin, on Earth, no matter if it's being used or not, still has some value. So even if it was, somehow taken over or corrupted, destroyed, whatever, it would still have some value. Obviously it wouldn't be hundreds of dollars probably a coin, but it would still have some value. So it can never actually evaporate to zero, but it can certainly fail.
If it gets close enough, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and
so this is interesting. You're answering answering all my questions here. It's very interesting. You're very honest about it.
You can lose a ton of money. I mean, I lost a ton of money, but I was trading alt currencies.
That's trading. That's something else.
Right. Well, I'm saying, if you bought in at 1,200 and then it drops, you stay in there, you're gonna lose value. But theoretically, if you just hold it and wait long enough, it theoretically could bounce back. Sure, there's a risk, but the thing is, it's like all you have to do is Google it. Look at the history, read about it. We were just talking about articles. We were just talking about articles like Visa saying, Bitcoin blockchain is here to stay. I mean, when companies that big say those things, it's just like anything else. When you go and invest in a stock, you don't just invest in whatever stock. You do your research behind it. You see how they've been historically, how they've been doing, and then you make a good decision whether you want to buy some of it. You don't, go crazy and spend your life savings on it, right? Like any good investment, you want to have a diversified portfolio. Bitcoin can be a healthy part of that, and that's what I'm doing. Essentially, I'm a portion of my portfolio is going into Bitcoin because I definitely see promise in it. And there is no other investment that I can see currently right now that could theoretically bring me as big of gains as Bitcoin with as much security in the mid to long term. So why not?
Very well said.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mid to long term. So Shiley, when you talk about this volatility, quote unquote, issue, you have to realize there is no such thing as totally safe value. Even if you hold all your savings in gold, soldiers could come and take it from you like they did in 1934. Or gold could actually plummet in value over the next few years. That's actually a very risky investment, in my opinion. Unlike silver, which has incredible high value industrially, which is higher than its market value right now due to price manipulation.
Yeah, I kind of keep track on those stuff. My family looks at gold a lot.
Yeah, so there's no such thing as like if you keep your money. Yeah, as you know, if you keep your money in dollars, you're guaranteed to lose money every year. So what's better, volatility on the way up or inflation that's killing the value of your money? I mean, dollars have lost 98.9% of their value since the Federal Reserve was founded in 1913. So this is, even if you buy property, your insurance might not cover if you get destroyed by a tornado and your insurance might, not pay out. There's no such thing as totally safe assets to store.
Well, that goes for everything. That's not just Bitcoin. That's like a fair thing about the world. I mean, nothing is secure. Your job's never secure. Your life, your money, your every investment, everything. Right. Everyone can get screwed everywhere.
Correct.
Why not get screwed by Bitcoin, right?
That's right.
Well, Bitcoin. The thing that's different about Bitcoin, compared to say, oil stocks, is that it is similar to a stock in that you're investing in the ecosystem by buying the Bitcoin. It's similar to stocks. It's similar to an equity in that way. It's all similar to a commodity in the sense that it can't be destroyed and it's strictly limited in value. Totally unlike stocks, which are completely manipulated on the back end by the brokerage houses, which own all the stock, and you merely have a claim on it. Just like the banks own your money, and you merely have a claim on it. Bitcoin, gold, silver, they're not like that. You actually own it. If you're the only person that knows the private key, you own it, and it can't be stolen unless you make a security error. It can't, Bitcoin can be stolen, but it's harder to steal it than, say, gold or cash.
Because it's not coming from a bank, and it's not being, but the management of it, that's where it's funny. What the management of Bitcoin is, I guess it's mine, but like where's the...
So everyone shares. It's just a big ledger. It's just a big ledger that everybody shares. Everybody has the same ledger, and everyone agrees on it. It's the first system that allows you to have a database that everybody agrees on. It's the first network database that everyone can have consensus on. First time.
Yeah, so
that's why it's the best. That's why it's the biggest, because it's the first.
Like everyone is like a stakeholder, like very
exactly. Clear. And what you hold, like Gabriel said, it's just a public ledger, and what you hold is a private key to some Bitcoin on that ledger. So your private key is like your cash. If you lose that private key, then your Bitcoin is gone. So it's definitely, there is services like Coinbase and Circle and stuff that hold your private keys for you, because really we've been kind of used to, for the last few hundred years, of having our hands held by the banks saying, oh, we need to put all our money in there. We're not capable of understanding things like interest rates and things like that. So we have to give all of our money to the bank. But this Bitcoin really flies in the face of that. It for the first time puts the power back to the hands of the people and allows you to hold and hold your own money with more security than any other bank could ever hope to have. Because all you have to do is encrypt your private key with a password that only you know, and then nobody can ever steal it unless they, of course, the password out of you.
I mean, they
only my bank worked that way.
Yeah, you rent the wrench attack. The wrench attack. They could come and say, "Hey, I'm going to knock you on the head unless you tell me your private key." Definitely can be stolen that way, but you know.
And if you also keep your wallet on your computer, if something computer crashes and the hard drive is destroyed, theoretically,
you back it up. But yeah,
you lose your Bitcoin essentially.
Like, what I recommend what I recommend doing is sorry, Jose. What I recommend doing is backing up your private key to flash drives. And that way, you encrypt that flash drive, or you encrypt the data in that flash drive, and you can have a bunch of those. Copy the flash drives all over. Keep one in your car. Send one in a security deposit box. Send one to your parents.
The physical, literally a physical.
Yep, the physical flash drive, and that way your keys are 100% protected. There's nobody that can. If your house burns down, you got to back up in your car. If your car burns down, you got to back up in your house.
You have to put on a physical device. That's the rule, right?
Yeah. No, you don't have to. You don't have to, but that is a very secure way.
Code, right?
You can. There's a thing called a brain wallet. And this is another amazing feature about true decentralized digital money like Bitcoin. You can encrypt your entire wallet and private key into a series of words that you memorize. If you memorize these 12 or 24 words or whatever it is, nobody can know about this, that you have it. Nobody can take it from you. They could force it from you, but you have to give it up. Possibly in the future, that with brain scans, they might be able to knock you out and then do something with your brain, but not really now. So with all the asset forfeiture, driving across state lines with cash in your car, taking gold on a plane where they're just, no, I'm just going to take your gold right now because you're not allowed to do it. That's all has been completely disintermediated by Bitcoin because you can just store it in your brain, no problem. You have to have a good memory. If you get amnesia,
that's one of the more difficult ways. But
yeah, if you get amnesia, you'll still have the cash in your wallet, but you won't have your Bitcoin brain wallet anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, so that's a more obscure way of storing your Bitcoin, but it's certainly possible. And like as Gabriel said, one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin is that there are no limits. People are going to continue to invent more ways to secure your Bitcoin. So that's absolutely wonderful.
One of the great ways, if you have a lot of savings in Bitcoin, is with a hardware wallet. So you get it's like $100, $80, and this is basically an offline tiny Raspberry Pi computer that allows you to type your private key offline, so it can't be hacked. Because Mac OS, even Linux, has total backdoors. Those even open source projects have crazy backdoors in them. Bitcoin, on the other hand, you can be relatively sure it doesn't. Bitcoin itself, because if it did, then people would be stealing it all over the place. It would totally collapse. Yeah.
Yep, there's hardware wallets for sure out there, and I just pasted a link to one of them. There's a few different ones out there, and there'll be a lot more as time goes on, as competition heats up and Bitcoin awareness spreads. But right now, there's definitely secure ways to keep your Bitcoin secure. We have matured the ecosystem now to the point to where we can for sure secure our Bitcoin without the need for a bank or any other central intermediary.
Interesting. So I very much appreciate this knowledge. I hope I didn't hijack your show too much, but I have a question.
We're about to move on to the next topic. So you're more than welcome to ask any questions. Stick around if you want. We're going to move on to the next the news topic.
Guys, I actually may have to be going shortly. It's kind of late over where I'm at. And kids and all that. So it was definitely fun. And
awesome.
If you're ever in need of, just an extra person that knows a little bit about Bitcoin.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, Jose, before you go, tell us where we can find you.
To take up a spot. You can find me on Twitter at TruePixel, as you can see right there. You can find me on Instagram at TruePixel. You can find me on Facebook /TruePix. So
awesome.
I'm everywhere.
Thanks for being on the show, man. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Jose's on the East Coast there in Florida, so he's 3 hours ahead of us. So it's probably like 1 a.m.-ish his time. I didn't even plan for the show to go this long, but that's the beautiful thing about Blab is that people can just come in and join and make the show great. And so Gabriel's his answers, of course, have been a little have been lengthy, but super appreciate the knowledge. Like I absolutely love it. Like Gabriel, you're definitely one of the reasons why this show is going a little bit long, but I love it. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more or anything better. So if the show goes longer, that's great because that means more information gets disseminated. And I wouldn't let the show go long unless I felt the information was very important and very great. So, thanks so much for your advice, and your info, Gabriel. We super appreciate it, man.
Hey, thing I'm getting hit. Chupix is hitting me, hitting me up here. This is awesome. Thanks, Jose. It's just to make the donuts look good. That's why you did it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Sprinkle donuts.
Those were donuts.
With
There's a
sprinkles.
QR code. There it is. Woo! All right.
Awesome.
That's so
Awesome.
cool.
So Jose says so tasty. All right. Well, before we move on to the next topic, if you guys are enjoying the show, we really appreciate it if you could tweet it out. Let everybody know that we're here. We're trying to, get the exposure and such. We're doing this off of free. We don't get paid or anything. So we just try
You're
to.
not getting paid?
No, we're not paying you, Gabriel.
I thought, yeah, I'm getting paid. I got like 60 Bitcoin. It's pretty.
Oh
solid.
man,
Yeah, 18
Dude,
grand.
Gabriel-
I'll do it. Couple
Gabriel-
hours, no problem.
dude,
I'm
Gabriel's
worth
gonna be
9,000
buying.
an hour.
I only
Dude.
want just one Bitcoin.
Dude, Gabriel's gonna be buying private islands before we know it. So that's for
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah.
that's
I get
awesome.
one Bitcoin per hand or whatever it's called.
Awesome. Oh, nice. Yeah, and so Shiley, you can definitely buy Bitcoin. You don't have to buy like a whole coin. You can actually buy like $5 worth or $10 worth. Yeah, just so you know. So if you a lot of people do a lot of people go on Coinbase and just do like weekly buys of like $50 or $100 and stuff like that to kind of save yourself from the volatility, to kind of hedge against the volatility by just doing some dollar cost averaging, and that's been pretty successful for a lot of people. So yeah, that's just a little suggestion if you want to do that. I personally do buy a little bit of Bitcoin every week. I can't afford a whole coin at any one time, so I just buy a little bit, and over time it adds up.
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Go on.
Oh, well, okay, no problem. We're going to move on to the next topic here. Let's see.
Oh yeah. Shiley was asking about how to use it as a currency and save. We were earlier in the show. We were talking about Purse.io and Fold, which is so Purse is for using Amazon. You can save crazy a lot at Amazon. It's pretty awesome. And Fold is for Starbucks. So people save. They'll buy Starbucks card and they'll save 10, 20, 30% on it because they use Bitcoin. Pretty cool
Really?
stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. Same thing at Amazon. It's incredible. It just
Purse.io.
Purse.io, but it's a little bit slower. You have to wait maybe 1 to 2 days usually.
Yeah.
So you're saying that people buy it with Bitcoin and then it gets cheaper when they sell it back?
Basically, people have Bitcoin. People have Amazon credits, and those are worth less than $1 each on the open market. So they accept, maybe 80 cents instead of only 60 cents for their for their Amazon credits, and they get Bitcoin for it instead. So it's leveraging
it's like buying gift
Amazon
cards again and then reselling gift cards, but like with Bitcoin.
On the other side, yeah. People who have a lot of Amazon credits will sell them for Bitcoin, and then the people who have Bitcoin get stuff off of Amazon.
Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
if the Bitcoin market is doing well and they're wanting to give away some of their stuff for cheaper, then it's
No. It doesn't have to be doing well. Amazon credits are always worth less than they're always worth only 65 cents on the dollar or whatever. So they can always get a better deal by getting Bitcoin for them instead of dollars.
Oh.
And so the average savings is literally up to 18% off of Amazon, which is already cheap. So the average cost savings of using Purse.io, using Bitcoin to buy stuff off Amazon is 18%.
I have saved 25% on a multi-$100 purchase because I didn't need
do
it.
that
quickly.
like all the time?
Yeah, all the time. 18%, no problem. 5 and 10% you can get instantly. 5% you can get instantly.
Discount. So you're saying if I spend
discount.
the equivalent of less than $1 with using Bitcoin, I can get $1's worth on Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
Like this is like a secret. Like this sounds like a little bit too legit.
Not a secret.
This company has not been around for too long, but it is very well known in the Bitcoin community. But we're trying to get the awareness out, to people who aren't in the Bitcoin community.
What is
It takes time.
What?
It takes time. You have to set up an account to get Bitcoin. Say Coinbase or Circle or whatever, and then you have to learn about how to use it a little bit. then you have to open a purse account, and then when you do your order, you might have to wait an extra day or two. So there's a learning curve, and there's little bit of time that you have to spend in order to do it. But then if you're spending a lot on Amazon like I do, it is awesome to just save that 10, 15, 20% all the time.
What's this called? What is it? First what?
Purse.io.
Purse.io. I'm like, is it? Oh, you have to go on the website.
I've talked to the guys. They're totally awesome. They're really cool. They're big Bitcoin believers. They're basically shunting Amazon's marketing budget into the Bitcoin ecosystem with their company, which is awesome.
It's great because Amazon could have done this. Amazon could have created some kind of system like this if they wanted to get into Bitcoin, but they didn't. They're leaving all this money on the table, and their gift cards are only accessible in so many countries. But you could ship to much more countries than the credit cards accept. And so they're leaving all this money on the table. And now people through Purse.io, anybody can buy anybody in the planet could buy something off of Amazon through Purse.io with Bitcoin.
This sounds interesting. This sounds very juicy.
It's juicy. This type of stuff is just the beginning. I mean, because it is true digital money. That can't be clamped down or controlled. These type of use cases are just going to continue to proliferate. It enables totally new markets to arise.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. So, very cool
stuff. I
wrote
down a little note sheet about Bitcoin because I am definitely fascinated with Bitcoin, but I'm not to the point where I'm like, I'm going to go do this. But this has definitely helped that process along. Real humans ask questions too. I'm like,
it's hard.
You bet. We definitely encourage you to, everybody to just get a little bit of Bitcoin and try to spend it just to see how it works because seeing is believing. And when you see Bitcoin be transferred from one phone to another phone or from a phone to a computer instantaneously right before your eyes, it's absolutely amazing because, you can send money like via PayPal and things like that, but it's not instant. It's not actually instant.
No, absolutely.
And it's only available to, a few countries. But with Bitcoin, it's always available to everybody on the whole planet. It's global. Anybody can send money to anybody else.
Set up your wallet, though.
That's right. And the wallet is completely free. Yep. And you can have unlimited wallets. Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin doesn't care about your age. Bitcoin doesn't care where you live. Bitcoin doesn't care how many wallets you have. Bitcoin doesn't care if you like WikiLeaks. Bitcoin doesn't care if you like Edward Snowden. It doesn't care.
And you said the wallet website there's a bunch of them. You said, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. You can go to Bitcoin.com and they have a few wallet choices there with some details, and you can check that out. They also have a forum on there that's pretty cool. But I recommend.
Somebody's writing to me. I love this. This is amazing. Oh, look at that! Easiest way to automatically.
All right. So should we move on to the next article?
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to the next article. So here we go. Paste it in there. Let's see if that works. Yep.
The age of practicality. This is kind of why did you include this article? What is it that you see in this one?
Yeah, I actually didn't paste that one. I actually ended up not using that article.
Good.
The article because it was just kind of too
puff piece.
Yeah, puff piece. So I did want to include the link I just sent though, which is go here. Bitcoin, why blockchain's road to mass market is beyond payments, because I want to talk about a little bit about Bitcoin beyond just as a currency, beyond just literally being able to buy stuff with. And so, Gabriel, maybe if you can elaborate on that. What do you think it means that that people are talking about Bitcoin beyond just a currency?
Well, as you know, I received these links at the beginning of the chat, so I actually haven't read necessarily all of them. I've caught actually some of them, but I don't necessarily read every CoinDesk article. I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, I would scour the web, and there was usually 2 to 3 articles a week.
Yep, tops.
In general, yeah. So what is this article about? Why don't you talk about it? I mean, it's long.
Yeah, so basically, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts, or whoever I had in the room, basically, to talk about kind of blockchain and Bitcoin and stuff beyond just payments. And what I really think is fascinating about Bitcoin is that, right now we're just using it as a currency. But the thing is that currency is just the first app, because Bitcoin is just a token on this network. Bitcoin is the car you need to ride on this freeway that is the Bitcoin network. And when you have this token, this token can represent much more than just a currency. Right now, we're just using it to represent actual currencies. So we say one Bitcoin is 300 or one Bitcoin is 400 US dollars. But really, one Bitcoin can represent so many things because one Bitcoin actually is a bunch of Satoshis, like 1 million Satoshis or something like that. Just
100 million.
100 million Satoshis. So really what you can represent with just a single token inside of Bitcoin is a myriad of different things. And so I think the future is really going to be being able to transact not just currency, but putting a company, putting a car lease, putting a house deed, or putting a land right property on top of this Bitcoin blockchain. Because once you put it on top of the blockchain, now it's global, instantly transferable, instantly available, instantly tradable, instantly verifiable, globally all around the world. And so, for example, when you take this when you take this example to the extreme, you can kind of imagine in the future companies buying other companies. Right now, for example, in the future, you could have a company buy another company where you could have it buy its manufacturing plant. For, like, let's say Apple wanted to buy this another manufacturing plant. If it was all on the Bitcoin blockchain, Apple could simply buy this manufacturing plant and have buy the rights to all the employees inside of it. So make sure that they're earning all the profits from the employees. Make sure they're paying out the employees. Buy all their supply chain, making sure that they know exactly where all the products are sourced from, making sure that all the people that source those products get paid, all the way down to where their products end up actually shipping. So they could buy this whole huge infrastructure instantaneously, globally, anytime. So it makes trading assets
like a breeze.
Like the internet. It makes trading assets like sending messages on AOL. Just completely instant, completely like there. Cash. Yep, like cash. So I could say, here's my entire company with all of the supply chain, with all the employees. Or you could say something. How about this? You could say, here's my apartment building. Excuse me. Here's my apartment building with all of the paying tenants inside. Here you go, completely wrapped up, ready to go. You buy the rights to all the people paying. You buy the apartment, you buy the electricity that it uses and all that stuff, all in just one wrapped up little application. And that is digital assets kind of being transferred over the Bitcoin blockchain.
You think it'd be super easy to transfer all these things?
Yes. So right now you can imagine, very trivial. So right now, for example, if I wanted to buy a car for my buddy in another state, what would I have to do if it was after banking hours, right? I'd be kind of screwed. I'd have to wait till the next day and go to the Washington Mutual and fill out all this information, give them so much information that, insane amounts of information. Maybe they want my next of kin to send a $100 bill to my buddy a few states away. And so now with Bitcoin, no matter the time or day, I could just be like, hey, buddy, send me the Bitcoin right now. Send. Okay, gotcha. Car's mine. Now, taking that to the future, if the car was on the blockchain, I could say, hey, buddy, send me the money for the car. Okay, money sent. And now now your phone opens that car because the car recognizes that it has a new owner.
Yeah, and the old phone stops being able to unlock the car.
And the old phone stops being able to use it.
Right.
Technologies work together.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's important to recognize that this. So this is how this works. Nathan is asking, how is it anything other than the currency? The basic way that it works is with a transaction in Bitcoin, you can include a tiny amount of information with your transaction that is unrelated to how much it is and who's sending it where. A tiny amount of whatever kind of information you want. Those bytes can represent anything. You can compress your data and pop it in there and tell somebody else, I've got this thing. You can put secrets in there and nobody will know the key until the entire encryption paradigm of Bitcoin is broken in decades from now when we've already moved on and copied everything and resecured it. Yeah, exactly. You could set a time capsule. So that principle of being able to add a tiny chip of data, tiny sliver of data to any transaction is the principle behind the additional functionality of Bitcoin. But it's important to realize that it depends on things, that functionality depends on something outside the Bitcoin ecosystem. That's why we, Vortex and I say the currency is, of course, the killer app, because that's something that is incentivized and structured within the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're talking about a card network that depends on the Bitcoin, well, then you're trusting that the whole car network and phone network and key structure has not been compromised. So that's something that's external to Bitcoin. But the blockchain itself, which is the underlying data structure of Bitcoin, enables those layers to be built on top, just like TCP/IP, the protocol of the internet, enables the web and email to be built on top of it. It's in the same way. Bitcoin is a protocol upon which you can build layers. It's a platform upon which then you build more complex layers. They call that, Bitcoin 2.0, 3.0. So as far as the uses for this, a lot of the initial uses, I feel, will be in the smart contract space. And that is basically a way to automate paperwork. Right now, we have this, 19th century system of human beings that go to school to learn how to validate documents. They're called notaries. And we pay them exorbitant fees because they have to eat and feed their families and buy their daughters Christmas presents. These people charge $40 to put a stamp on something and say, "Hey, I saw this. Hey, I have this thing from the government." And it actually works pretty well considering, but it's terribly inefficient. It's a total drag on the economy. These people's jobs no longer need to exist. Bitcoin has a notary function built in. All you have to do is hash your data. Boom, you've got it in there. If anybody wants to see it, you can prove for the first time in history since 2009 when Bitcoin was launched, we can prove that data happened during this block time. A block time is between 10 and 60 minutes. You can prove unforgeably that this thing existed at this time, not before, and you can also prove that it wasn't created after, obviously, because you wouldn't have been able to put it back there at that time and during that block. So this is a totally new paradigm, and I love the way that Vortex, you're familiar with Vinay Gupta.
No.
Oh, you got to check him out. He's amazing. It's a Scottish-Irish guy, and he has a crazy accent. He actually is the community liaison for Ethereum right now, but he's been around for a long time. He's created all sorts of amazing things in his life. He's worked as he calls himself a resilience engineer, because a lot of his work is for the refugee camp, like the lowest common denominator stuff. And he talks about the blockchain development, as I mentioned before, as the next evolution in technology. In the early 70s, we had the advent of the modern database. This is basically a silo of data that whoever is there can access. The problem with databases is that it's very difficult to communicate with each other. In the early 90s, 20 years later, we had the advent of the internet, where these networks all came together and you can just throw any information anywhere. And it's with these databases on the back end, to get them to communicate with each other, you have to build very expensive bridges called APIs. It's totally inefficient. Databases and networks for 20 years did not play nice with each other. The advent of Bitcoin and the other blockchain technologies that have come after, we now have a networked database. Everybody shares this database. Everybody agrees on it. Everybody has consensus. That's a new thing, and we're just like the internet was a new thing of these networks, and databases were a new thing, and that were a platform to build, technological businesses like in the 70s and 80s on. Now we have a new technology, a new genre of technology to build on top of, and it's impossible to even list all the industries that are about to be completely disrupted by this. But certainly the notaries will be one of the early ones. Currency-related things, financial things, yeah.
For sure. A couple of ones that will be directly affected are, it's similar with the internet. The first things they took out were their direct competitors, like long-distance service providers and things like that. And then when it moved on to media, the first thing it took out was the lowest hanging fruit, like Blockbuster, these types of things. So, for example, what Bitcoin's going to take out is things like Washington Mutual and MoneyGram. It's direct competitors. It's direct competition is what's going to be eaten up first. And absorbed.
Monies.
Yep. And eventually Bitcoin will make its way into a myriad of different things, from, like you said, notaries. It actually touches everything from finance to politics to economics to everything you can really think of, because what it is at the end of the day is a huge public ledger. And with that public ledger, we can just zap out huge amounts of fat that basically try to give us what we think is the truth. Bitcoin is real truth. We don't need somebody to tell us that this transaction happened at this time, because Bitcoin says it so. And so because Bitcoin says it so, that means it's true. I can mathematically prove that this event happened. And with that event, we can take out huge amounts of industry that just don't need to be there anymore, because Bitcoin replaces it.
I would love banking to go and follow the system. At the same time too, banks are unstable, but there's different pluses to both of them. But Bitcoin sounds like it's a revolution.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a revolution.
It definitely is. And you got to remember, the next generation of people, for example, kids growing up with Bitcoin. Imagine, a kid growing up with Bitcoin, being a teenager and stuff, and so since the age of whenever he started a company at 12, started making profit at age 13 or 14, and then he gets to be 18, and the banks tell him, "Oh, sorry, you can't open a bank account until you're 18." He's going to go to the bank accounts when Wells Fargo and these types of things when he's 16, saying, "Look, I got this business. It's making money. I'd like to open up an account." And they're going to be like, "No, you can't until you're 18. Yeah, you can't until you're 18. Oh, and then when you turn 18, we're going to charge you money to hold money in here. We're going to charge you money to transfer money, and we're going to only be open from 9 to 5. People who grew up with Bitcoin are going to completely do a double take. Like, what are you telling me? It's like trying to tell people who use Netflix.
We also have your money.
Yeah, it's trying to tell people who use Netflix to go use Blockbuster.
Everybody else's.
Yeah, it's literally trying to tell Netflix users to go use Blockbuster. They're not going to do it.
But it's riskier because Bitcoin's not backed up. I don't know if the FDIC did or anything like that, but
no.
So just a quick note on that.
The value goes up and down, which we said is a true thing.
Yeah,
backed up. No, that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as backing is a weakness. Backing means that the thing that you have isn't worth nothing, so you need something else. Bitcoin, gold, silver, they don't need backing because they're intrinsically valuable to the people that use them. And it's not really intrinsic value, it's utility.
I love it.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So you have to understand that the dollar isn't backed up by anything. It really isn't backed up by anything at all. Where Bitcoin is backed up by all of the energy that it takes to provide the Bitcoin mining network. And so basically you could kind of really say that Bitcoin is energy. Energy is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is created through energy, and it takes an absorbent amount of energy to keep creating this Bitcoin and to keep this Bitcoin secure. So Bitcoin is backed up by the millions and millions of computers across the world that mine and secure the Bitcoin network. So Bitcoin is backed up by math, it's backed up by energy, and it's backed up by the people who run it.
That's exactly right. Shiley, to answer your question, instantly, you can send the Bitcoin instantly, but until the block is finished by the miners, the other person won't be able to sell it for dollars. So it will take 10 to 60 minutes.
Oh, but 10 to 60 minutes, then I can sell it immediately, and then it won't cost me a dime. And that person
when you transfer between Bitcoin and dollars, you're going to have to pay a fee, usually 0.5%. It's usually
that's cheaper
the going rate.
Is that 0.5% commission? How much is that cheaper than what everybody else charges?
Usually it's a flat fee from banks, so it depends on how much you're sending. If you're sending $10, it's way better. And if you're sending millions of dollars, it's also way better, because that also, if you don't, sending the Bitcoin, you could send millions of dollars for 6 cents, 3 cents. You could send $100 million for free even. Lately, you probably need to pay the 6 cents, but lately it has been done. It has been done. Yeah.
there was over a $100 million transaction a couple of years ago over the Bitcoin network from somewhere like in Germany to somewhere in US. I think it was an exchange transferring money to another exchange. And it was over $100 million transaction that was sent instantaneously for less than a penny.
It was zero. It was for free. It was zero. They did not include a miner fee with it, but they did include some metadata in there. Like I was saying, we were talking about how you can put a few bytes in the transaction, and they put plain text in the transaction, and the message was shitload of money.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Awesome.
It's thought that it was Bitstamp, which is a large Bitcoin exchange company in Europe.
Yeah, this is what I agree. I think that as the internet progresses, people can find their passions more easily, and they can find a community of people who share their passion. And instead of TV and stuff, you can just go in and participate and make your own.
Exactly, I can create the show myself and be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
like Oprah
internet.
Bitcoin. You're like Bitcoin Oprah over here.
It kind of really is fulfilling the promise of the internet, which is this instant connectivity type of thing. And Blab, I haven't found anything like Blab. I found, there's Twitch and there's other things like that, but everything else is complex as hell to get started. I mean, literally with Blab, I click one button. I go to Blab and I click start, and that's it. And everybody else can join in. I got a chat room. I got questions and answers. And so it's a beautiful platform, and I hope these guys stay around for a while.
I do too. I just don't want him to ruin the beautiful culture. I'm like, what if 1,000 other weirdos show up? And I'm like, no, I love everybody here now. I don't want to ruin that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You can always you can control who joins the show, and you can kick people and mute people and different things like that.
Sure.
You still can control it.
I like that there's only 10 to choose from. I'm like, I can really see everybody in a second. I love that.
Oh, really? There's that few Blabs? Oh my God, I didn't even know.
Of them at any given time.
Yeah, yeah. At any given time, there's only a few, and if you search for Bitcoin, which I do pretty much every day, just to see what other Bitcoin blabs are happening, there's very, very, very few ever coming on the line. So usually I get views because I'm the only Bitcoin show, pretty much, the only person talking about Bitcoin. So at least with a regular schedule, anyway.
That's good. I don't know the regular schedule, so it's like a fluke. I'm like, I'm free now, and you guys talking about something interesting. I'm like, shiz, let's go.
Yeah, we're trying to do them. I was doing them on Saturdays, but we're trying to do them on Mondays now, Monday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to come back next Monday, we're going to be here again.
If you create a list of people you want to tag on Twitter, it'll totally be fantastic. And I already subscribed to you too, so I'm sure I'll find it that way. Yeah,
and you can, of course, follow me on Twitter at @TheOneVortex.
I did. I followed you. How do you tweet it where it has all of our names and pictures in it? Because I would retweet that.
So I believe that there's a tweet button on the left-hand corner.
Oh, really?
When you click that tweet, that is what creates that tweet.
Oh, tweet. Oh, Blab
I believe so. And I think that actually creates a whole animated GIF of who's ever talking and stuff to further
why is it not tweeting?
Let people know that there's a live show going on.
Why is it not letting me? Compose tweet. Okay.
But it's pretty cool. I only have one article left here, which is I want to talk about because this article just came out and it was so awesome, really outlining kind of where Bitcoin has been, and I kind of wanted to just talk about this for a second because this article was just great. It's called 2016 could be Bitcoin's best year yet, and of course it will be because every year is Bitcoin's best year. I mean the thing doesn't stop. Now maybe not for the price. But for Bitcoin as a whole, as an ecosystem in general, as a currency, as a payment network, as it always has a good year. So let's.
2014 is the only year that that it had a price drop for the whole year.
True.
That's
so far. And and of course, 2015 saw Bitcoin completely crush the dollar as far as gains and stuff like that. Didn't have nobody could compete it. It was the only global currency that crushed the dollar. So that was definitely cool.
It's the only currency in general.
Yeah. It's, in my opinion, the only real currency. But let's see here.
I tweeted.
I wanted to just I want to name off a few of these years, kind of go over real quick where Bitcoin has been, because this article does that, and it's just great. Thanks, Shiley. And this is really cool. So basically, where Bitcoin has come from is so different from where it is now, and it seems like it's only been a couple years, but it has been around for 6 years. But Bitcoin as an asset, as an actual digital asset, really has only been around for 4 or 5 years, because in the beginning, Bitcoin didn't actually have a value. you know, it was just a project and didn't actually have a value. It didn't really have a value until the first person kind of gave it a value by famously buying a pizza for 20,000 Bitcoins, which of course today would be worth millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I believe it was 10,000 for
10,000
two pizzas.
Yeah, 10,000 for two pizzas. That's right. That's where I got the 20. So 10,000 for two pizzas.
Pizza guy's loaded, right?
Yeah, hopefully he held on to.
He didn't. He didn't. Oh, no. He said he doesn't mind. He still has a lot, and he's still in the ecosystem. He's like a developer. He doesn't care. He was just into it. He loves the code, and he says he doesn't. He sold. I'm sure he sold and made a big profit, anyways. I mean, he had tens of thousands of Bitcoins to throw away.
Yep, very cool. Oh man, I can't wait. I wish I had 10,000 Bitcoins, but you know, in the future, people are going to be saying, "I wish I had a whole coin." I just wish I had one whole coin. That's all I want is one coin, because you know when it's
a very expensive coin.
When it's at 5,000-10,000 plus, you know, a coin and stuff, people are like, "Oh man, I just got to get to one, you know, and I'll be good." So we'll see how it goes, but it's definitely people think. So I just want to go over a couple of these numbers real quick. So, you know, Bitcoin in like 2009, 2010, that's when it kind of first was conceptualized. That's when it first started getting traveled around the internet, and where people started really talking about it in communities and forums and stuff. And then 2011 saw the first actual bubble that went all the way to $30, I believe. It rallied from $1 to $30. So that was kind of like the first bubble. It went all the way up to $30. People were like just tripping, like they couldn't imagine this. This thing that was worth cents a while ago, and now it's worth $30. Not only did it reach parity of the US dollar, but it went 30 times beyond that. And this thing that hardly anybody knew about, you know, it's just amazing. And then
it crashed. It crashed down to 2, I think. It was just huge. We haven't had a crash like that since then. Not even close.
Yep, for sure. Maybe the $260 crash down to like 90, but
no, not even close. Yeah, it was 90% drop in 2011.
Yeah, so that was huge, and of course that just got people talking like crazy, because everybody was like, "I made all this money," and all people were like, "I lost all this money," and it just created this huge conversation around it, this hype that people had to find out more about it, which was great. And then 2012, you know, it really started taking off with the gambling and the leverages. We actually started being able to short Bitcoin and stuff. I think that's when Bitfinex came out. Right around then. So that was really interesting to see. And then in 2013, we had a huge price rally all the way up to $1,200. That's what we were talking about earlier. And it kind of set off this huge mining rally where just everybody just started buying miners, because it was still nice and profitable back then. You could spend like a few $100s on an ASIC miner and make your money back relatively quickly, you know, within a few months. And so people were doing that. So everybody just bought that, and that just shot the difficulty just way up, so that you couldn't exactly, you know, have those types of return on investment as quick as you could before. But it was still awesome because it brought more people into the ecosystem. It brought more people into mining, and it made the awareness spread.
I'd like to point out, I'd love Tuur Demeester, the author of this article. I think he's amazing. And actually, I think I want to subscribe to his paid newsletter, Adamant Investments or whatever it's called. But I would like to point out a little typo in this article. He says the difficulty of the network jumps from 20 to 9,000 terahash a second. And of course, that's the hash rate, not the difficulty, which is just an arbitrary number that happens based on. It's kind of nitpicking, but it's important. But yeah, 20 to 9,000 terahash was the growth that year. So it was 400 times security gain in 2013.
400 times, you know, in 1 year. And people are like, "Oh no, you know, it's getting so difficult. Like, oh, Bitcoin it's going to fail because it's going to get so difficult." And people don't understand. No, the more difficult it gets, the more secure the network is. People, the more we want the difficulty to go up, we want the awareness to spread. So it's good when the difficulty goes up, and people will continue to buy new equipment, invest in new equipment, you know, turn their old equipment sell their old equipment, and you know, have a whole market for that. So there's going to be a whole market of new stuff. You get more money. Old stuff you don't get a whole lot of money. But there are people that will participate in mining just to secure the network, not even to make a profit. And so that's just huge, because people believe in the project so much because they know that it affects everybody who uses it. Anybody who's in Bitcoin can affect really anybody who's in Bitcoin. That's the beautiful thing. Everybody is affected. So, for example, when the price goes up, everybody, notices that. Everybody sees their value go up a little bit. And so when things happen in the ecosystem, like the difficulty goes up, everybody notices. And so it's really great to see everybody being able to chime in and be affected by this. And it kind of brings us all under one roof. It kind of like brings us together as almost like a Bitcoin family, like as a Bitcoin society.
That's so cute.
It really is cool. It really is interesting. There's not a whole lot of movements like Bitcoin that have ever happened in history. The internet really is the closest thing that I can think of. The movement of the internet is the closest thing that's really ever come close to Bitcoin in terms of grassroots innovation, grassroots movement.
The hash rate, as the price has almost doubled in the last 2 months, and we're seeing the hash rate absolutely shoot way up. We're nearing 1 exahash, which is, I don't even know how many sextillion. It's like a sextillion hashes per second or something. It's some enormously.
I don't know if I can even pronounce the word anymore. Like, it's getting so huge. What's after sextillion? I don't even know. Like centillion?
Sextillion, septillion, octillion.
Oh Lord!
So we're getting there.
It's gonna keep. Yeah. What's 10? Is that dextillion?
I forgot.
I have no idea, man. It's
decamillion.
Yeah, it's like when you really look at the hash rate growth from the beginning to now. If you look at the whole chart, the whole 6 years, it really is like staring into the sun. It's just unprecedented amounts of decentralized power, unprecedented amounts of grassroots movement pooling their energy together for one cause. There's really never.
Yeah, by far the fastest computer network in the world, by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, way faster than the stupid little supercomputers.
Yeah, at this time in history, the Bitcoin network is the most powerful. Is more powerful than all of the supercomputers on Earth combined.
What?
Well, it's been faster for years. Yeah.
So absolutely crazy. And so I'm just going to go a little bit further down the line. 2014, we kind of saw a bunch of the altcoin distractions. We did see a bunch of people trying to mine altcoins and get into things and maybe think that because they saw Bitcoin take off, right? So they're like, oh, well, I'll just create a coin and that'll take off. And then maybe I'll make money from that. And so we saw just this kind of slew of altcoins being created, by people and stuff, and kind of duping a lot of noob investors, if you will. A lot of people new to the space and stuff like that. So it was fairly easy because everybody was we just came off of this $1,200 per Bitcoin price, and so everybody wanted to create a coin. Everybody wanted to get into this Bitcoin altcoin thing, and so it kind of produced a little bit of a distraction. But it's nevertheless we got a lot of information out of it, and altcoins continue to serve a purpose, which of course is, in my opinion, really to be a laboratory for Bitcoin. We can run all of our experiments and create new ideas and all of these other alternative currencies and test them out there. And if they succeed there, well, then we can incorporate it into the Bitcoin network. And so this concept of incorporating features into the main Bitcoin network really just kind of will continue to the point to where there'll only be a few major large coins. There'll be a ton of millions of coins that have a little bit of value, but in the end, there's only going to be a Bitcoin and maybe a couple other coins that are actually going to have global weight. Global value that's considered. So
this is great. Holy cow.
It's really cool. And then finally, we got into this year, 2015, which can definitely, I think, be called the year of the blockchain. Really, this is when people started talking about Bitcoin's underlying technology. They didn't want to talk about Bitcoin, so they wanted to talk about the technology that powers Bitcoin, which is the blockchain, which is the blockchain network, the network that we spoke about that is hundreds of times faster than all the supercomputers combined. And this really got a lot of people. It's talking about Bitcoin, talking about blockchain, and Blythe Masters left her career to start this new blockchain company, and it was just everywhere on Wall Street. Wall Street really, I think this year can be considered the year of Wall Street getting into Bitcoin and into blockchain technology. So that's how far we've come. I just kind of wanted to go over that real quick and just kind of give people an idea of how far we've come and where we're going. And where we're going is we're heading into the next year. We're heading into 2016. And there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff that's going to happen, really. But this guy points out, a couple of important things. And one of those important things is the halving. See, with Bitcoin, every 4 years, the money supply that can be produced on a daily basis gets halved, cut in half. And what this does is this drives up
not the money
value.
supply. It's the rate of increase in the money supply. This is the inflation rate.
It's inflation rate. It's actual increase in the amount of Bitcoin that's actually out in the public.
No, the amount of Bitcoin that gets created every day.
That gets created per day.
New Bitcoin.
Yep.
So there's inflation. You're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Intentional.
It's totally planned, completely predictable, totally mathematical. The miners are creating new Bitcoin. They're rewarded with new Bitcoin for securing the network. That's how the incentive structure works. So now, go on.
But in order to continue making sure that Bitcoin continues to gain value, we do drop off the supply. So what that happens is when you have more demand and less supply, well, then that's going to drive up the value of Bitcoin. And so this is one of the reasons why big, huge Wall Street investors and stuff are getting into it, because they're now realizing that the Bitcoin ecosystem, the code that Satoshi wrote is absolutely the best type of money we've ever had ever on this earth, because it has a fixed supply. It has a fixed amount that can be created. The supply gets reduced every 4 years. And so there's just nothing. It's basically designed to be deflationary. It's designed to check itself and to continue going in value. Satoshi himself in the white paper said that in theory, Bitcoin has no ceiling. It really has no value, because really what Bitcoin represents is the value of humanity combined. And that value is immeasurable and always increasing over time. So you can really compare, Bitcoin to humanity at that sense. Bitcoin is energy. Bitcoin is humanity. Bitcoin is our idea of money right now. And I think that if once more and more people, like Wall Street start realizing this, there's going to be a huge stampede. Like as Andreas Antonopoulos, he always says that at first there's going to be a few that break off from the herd, a few horses that break off from the herd, but eventually, just like the internet, there's going to be a stampede. Everybody's going to break off, and everybody's going to go in there, and it just takes a amount of time. There's a tipping point that will have to happen, and so that's I believe that's coming up soon, and I believe that's coming up probably next year, because next year is really a huge halving. It's the first kind of halving where the whole world is paying attention to. We've had a couple before. Again, it happens every 4 years, but this is the first one really where the whole world is watching. I mean, Wall Street, China. I mean, everybody is watching this, and so it's kind of a christening almost. Like a first. You can say that I went to the 2016 Bitcoin halving. Yeah,
But if it's legit, it's going to be like real legit.
Yeah, and so what I like to say really is that Bitcoin at this point is past the point of no return. It is no longer a science experiment. It really was, it really could have gone either way. Like I would say up to 18 months ago or so, it could have gone either way. It really could have. It was still an experiment. It's still a proof of concept. It was still a proof of concept. But really, over the last 18 months, it has solidified itself into the world economy, into the world psyche, into the internet, to the point to where it can't be turned off. It can't be shut down. It can't be stopped really at this point. So with all of that momentum going over the past 6 years, just continually compounding up and up, it just seems like it's gonna be here to stay now. It really is. Of course, there's still no guarantees in life, but at this point, I would definitely venture to say that Bitcoin is not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty hard to break the momentum. I agree with that. Definitely no guarantees. It's not a science experiment anymore, but it is very new and experimental and totally open source. It's very difficult to predict with any accuracy anything that's going to happen, except for the things that are in the code, like you said, the halvening, as it's known, which is probably going to happen mid to late July. Depending on the mining, the hash rate. But yeah, very, almost guaranteed to be in July. And at that point, the Bitcoin money supply inflation rate will go down, as the article says, from 9.17% from one moment to the next, from one block to the next. So 10 minutes later, we'll go from 9.17% to 4.09% all of a sudden. So right now, the price has been rising for since it gained a value for 5 years. The price has been rising. Well, actually, since the last halving, but whatever. The price has been rising the whole time, despite an 18% or 20% and then a 9% inflation rate, because the adoption and the utility and demand for Bitcoin has well outstripped that mere 9.17%. There's a lot of economics is an extremely complex field, and very few people know anything about it. Our educational system specifically lies to us and keeps us completely in the dark about economics. It's extremely complex, but I kind of wanted to talk about deflation for a second.
Yes, I was going to talk about that if you didn't.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So the concept of deflation has been much maligned by what they call Keynesian economists. These are economists who believe that centralized systems are really good and they help the vagaries of the free market from getting out of hand. They help. They have the opinion that the Federal Reserve should print as much money as it feels like in order to flatten things out and stabilize things. And this school of economics is countered by the Austrian school, which some Austrian economists were sort of originators, or in the early 20th century, of some of these ideas. The Austrian economists believe exactly the opposite. They believe that governments and centralized institutions are the causes of these business cycles, crashes, booms, busts, bubbles, cracks, collapses, currency collapses, hyperinflation, inflation. They believe that these centralized central banks, essentially, are the cause of these problems. And deflation is the situation where money is gaining value. It has a very bad rap in mainstream Keynesian economists because they believe that money tightening that happened in the 30s extended the Great Depression. They believe that deflation is a bad thing. When money gains value, it prevents people from spending it, and then the money velocity slows down. It's terrible. Austrian economists believe the opposite. They believe that deflation is the natural consequence of markets becoming more efficient. There's no doubt, and this is when you make businesses that are more efficient, when you disintermediate, the slave pulling a plow and throw in a tractor, that makes your farm more valuable. That creates wealth. So economics is not a zero-sum game. Most people in our society have this feeling because they're taught by, advertisements and just the general feeling of scarcity in our society that the world is zero-sum. If a business is making money, then somebody else is losing it. If one person's rich, then somebody else has to be poor. That's actually totally wrong.
Really? Tell me.
Completely wrong. By creating a new business, by creating an invention that makes something more efficient, by engineering something that makes some process easier, require less energy, cheaper, you're creating wealth. That literally creates wealth. And the reason this makes any reason this makes any sense at all is because of time. Human beings use their labor and time. That creates wealth. But we also have engineering and technology to make that time work even more efficiently. So that increases the wealth factor. So we're all creating this wealth. That's how countries, societies become wealthy, is by creating business. That's how the United States got rich, is by having a free market. By allowing these ideas to mix around with each other, by allowing people to make businesses and increase efficiencies and screw each other out of, maybe disintermediate one company, but that next company creates wealth for everybody by making some products cheaper. I mean, if you think about cars, I'm 42 years old. In the 80s, cars were about the same dollar amount now, but dollars have inflated. So cars have actually come way down in value. They're half or less what they cost when I was a kid. It's amazing. That's because of robots making them, obviously. So now everybody can get a car way cheaper than they used to be. And now that enables new markets, which increases wealth even more. So the deflationary idea of money gaining value over time is an accurate reflection of the creation of wealth over time by human beings through labor and technology. So Bitcoin is an attempt to go back to a gold standard type of situation where the gold constrained the amount of money that could be created by banks because it took lots of energy to mine it out of the ground. So Bitcoin is meant to sort of reflect somewhat in an abstract way how the gold standard worked, which in the 19th century we had a lot of deflation. It didn't cause depressions. It was wonderful. You could take the train and get across Eurasia in days. It was fantastic. You could do so many new things. So for us to transition from an inflationary economy, and make no mistake, when central banks inflate the money supply, they're stealing from everybody and giving that wealth to their friends. It's a wealth transfer. So the fact that the American dollar has lost 98% of its value over the last 100 years, that's 98% of everybody's wealth that has been shunted up to banks, central bankers, their friends. The closer you are to the closer you are to the money creation, the more of the wealth you extract from everybody else. And that's going to be a huge sea change in the world when we switch to a deflationary currency. People, the Keynesian economists try to shove it down our throats that, nobody will want to, loan money for a negative interest rate because they're going to think that no, that's totally wrong. It's very easy to adjust. If your money's worth more than it is today than it was yesterday, you're going to know that if you take out a loan, you need to have a very low or negative interest rate because that money is going to gain value. It's going to be worth more wealth by the time you need to pay it back. So of course, somebody who's loaning you money is going to accept a negative interest rate in a deflationary paradigm. It's not very difficult to figure out. But what that does is it allows people to hold on to their wealth instead of having it evaporate and get stolen by elite power mongers.
It's an alternative to the banks.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
it's like I'd rather have my money with these guys than the bank folks.
And it's very true. Andreas always talks about money being nothing more than communication. Money is just communication. Money is just what you think. And right, we're born into a society where we don't get to think. We only get one choice, and that is the choice of the dollar. And with Bitcoin, we have this ability to opt out. We have this ability of choice. We can finally say, you know what? I don't feel like using the dollar. I want to use something that isn't used to kill millions of people per day, that isn't used to start wars, that isn't used to steal from people.
If you're holding your money in dollars,
a little bit sexy.
If you're holding your money in dollars, you're funding all those wars that those assholes are doing.
And people don't realize this. People don't realize that when they're using those dollars, those hard-earned American pro-America dollars, they're actually helping fund terrorism. Because the CIA,
I have my money in different currencies by accident, but
because the CIA, you have to understand that most of the terrorism and such, that we see in the West media and stuff is actually created and funded by Western organizations like the NSA and the CIA. I mean, Bin Laden and these types of people, ISIS, ISIL, they were all originally funded by CIA. We basically take dictators that we think aren't as bad as these other ones, and put those in place. Whoever will listen to us, we put you in power. And the people, there's revolts against that, and there's all sorts of terrible things.
Egypt is a hot mess for that, right?
Yep. And so there's all sorts of terrible things that come along with that. Like as Gabriel was saying, if people only knew the amount of money that's being siphoned off on a daily basis from the American people like Henry Ford said it best. Henry Ford said it in 1920s. He said, if the American people ever knew how their actual money system works, banking system works, they would wake up the next day and revolt. They would revolt the next day, because this is how it works. They literally create money from nothing, and they siphon off all of our money that they give to us through inflation
and they charge
taxes.
Interest too.
Yep.
Charge
And
interest on top.
Yeah. Then there's interest on top of that, and then there's taxes, and then there's fees, and then there's it goes on and on and on. So this is why we have things like the internet, the internet, and amazing technologies like the iPhone. These just incredible, world-changing technologies. But yet every American, the average American, is still only making like $35K a year. The average American is still not doing very well. And we're actually the middle class is completely disappearing in America. It's pretty much gone already, almost. And
it's a hot mess. The whole thing's a hot mess.
And so and so people are wondering why we have all this amazing technologies, but yet we're still broke. Well, that's why, because all of the profit from this innovation of the internet, of cars, electronic cars, the space
banks
age,
are getting it?
so on and so forth. All the banks take it all.
The government.
The banks take it all, give it to the governments and their buddies, and that's it. So, so
banks. It's not just central banks that can create money. Banks. That a banking license, loans are not other people's deposits that they're loaning out to you.
No, it's the 10%. They can keep loaning out the same money a bajillion times, can't they?
They don't need any. They just need to. They're supposed to keep a certain amount on file. It's fractional reserve lending.
They don't though.
Yeah, well, whatever. 7%. I mean, even 7% is a ridiculous amount.
They don't even have that.
Well, but even if they did, they have a license to create money and then get wealth off of it. From the loans.
They literally have a license to create money.
Yeah, I think loaning money is a perfectly fine business model, but creating money out of thin air to loan it is a totally different thing, and that's our paradigm right now.
That's right. Definitely agree with that. So I'm definitely glad that you got to explain all of that to the people, Gabriel. I'm glad that that's going to be in the show now because, this is a big part of what makes Bitcoin is getting away from our current systems and educating people. I tell you, Gabriel, if nothing else, what Bitcoin will have done, let's say it just went to zero. If nothing else, Bitcoin ignited the conversation of fintech across the globe. It really ignited a conversation of money itself, because in America and maybe other countries too. In America, you're not supposed to talk about money, but yet you have to have money or you'll die. So it's this competing kind of thing. Like, oh, don't talk about money, because they don't want you talking about money, because they don't want you finding out how it's created. They don't want you finding out how it works. And this is why you come out of high school. Not even knowing how to balance a checkbook. I mean, literally, high school students come out every day not knowing how to balance a checkbook. They don't even know what an interest rate is, because they just went through 18 years of bullshit, 18 years of reading, writing, arithmetic when you only needed 3 or 4. So before you can move on to your next actual creative endeavor, something that you actually really want to do, instead of just work for pennies.
The best interact class was great. Got lucky for that one.
So that was all. That was all the articles I had. But I'm glad that we have the passion here. From us all, from me and Gabriel, to really put forth how the system works and how it's screwing you, because it really is. America really is, screwing its citizens, and many other countries are screwing their citizens. It's really actually the banks that are doing it, but in cooperation with the governments. But it's up to us to educate, because, like I said, if Bitcoin doesn't do anything else, it'll at least educate us. It'll at least get the conversation going, and that is
might force them to compete.
Enormously helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan is asking. Nathan is asking about the quote about the banks being the people revolting. I think it's Henry Ford, right?
Yeah.
The quote. Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah, Henry Ford said that quote. Yeah, about if the American citizens found out how their banking system works, they would revolt the very next day.
That's right. All right. Any other questions that we've missed?
Oh my gosh. I could ask y'all all night long, but I think y'all need to sleep eventually.
Yeah, we're about to end it, but I just want to see if we can get any other questions. Before we go, I'd like to have everybody, if they can, tweet out the show, and tweet out that we're still live. so people can hopefully learn about the next week's show. Learn about it and come to next week's show if they missed this week's. But all of this information in these videos are always available on the World Crypto Network. So we actually upload this to the World Crypto Network YouTube page and their SoundCloud page, so people can get both the video and the audio after this. And of course, it's always available on Blab as well on my profile. So bunch of different ways.
I'm digging DJ Erock 23's little convo here. It's pretty cool. He's saying some good stuff here. Do the messages get saved with the Blab, or
you bet? All the chat gets saved. So when you go back to see the Blab, the chat doesn't scroll with it or anything, but the entire chat is there and available. So you can scroll up and see the entire conversation.
Yeah, I want to check that out because I've been more talking and participating, but very cool comments there. I like it.
Yeah, E-Rock's been saying some good stuff, man.
I love it. Y'all are geniuses. I learned a lot tonight. This was super entertaining. So I feel like a very good use of my time. Answered a lot of inklings I had for years.
Awesome.
Very well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're here every Monday. So tell your friends, if anybody's got any questions or anything like that, they can come in, join right in on the show or ask in the chat, and we'd be more than happy to help them. Because at the end of the day, why I'm doing this show really, and why I think Gabriel and others are here is because we want to educate people. We want to tell people about Bitcoin. We want to make their lives better. We want to really wake them up from the sleep that the American government and banking system has put them in for the last 300 or 400 years, and just kind of wake them up. And so I think that we're doing that with this show. So we don't get paid to do this or anything. We're just doing this for fun.
I love it. That's very generous. So I would love to help. I have a tiny little following on Periscope. I would love to do one of my little shows on Bitcoin, and I would love for it to benefit y'all too. So if y'all want to collaborate and be in that chat room too while I ask questions and have it lead up to your show, or I don't know how it would help you, but I would love to collaborate. Sure. So y'all are rock stars.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. We're always available on Twitter, so just hit us up whenever you want to do a show to let us know, and we should be good. So thanks again, guys, for joining us. Gabriel, can you tell us where we can find you?
Twitter @GabrielDivine.
Awesome. Charlie, do you want any shout outs you want to give?
I would love to. I'm on Periscope, the same user account, Hakeemian45, Periscope. And I'm also on Fiverr, where you can hire me to do all sorts of gigs. You can look up my name straight up and hire me for all sorts of fun stuff and motivation. So there's my Periscope. Come to see #debate, where you can have debates about all sorts of topics, including possibly Bitcoin. So thank you for that plug.
Awesome, not a problem. And of course, you guys can always find me on Twitter there @the1vortex. And it was great having you guys here again. Thank you so much for participating. I know it's hard to show up in the holidays, so thank you so much. It was a great show. And again, if anybody's got any questions or wants to join in again, we're here every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific. So come back and join in the fun.
Yay. Great. See you, Vortex.
Hey, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yay. Oh. How do I get out of here?